Right, let's head back to our commentary team at the Bet365. Joe Shannon, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Courtney, I mean, we've heard him talking about it there, the defensive record. How concerning is that? And is there sort of an element of sympathy for the manager? Because mistakes are largely out of his control, and sometimes a bit of a bee in my bonnet, Courtney, is that managers get so much of the slack for mistakes that players are making. What can he do about it?
Yeah, you're right. In terms of individual errors, it's harsh sometimes, isn't it? Because that's on the player, but unfortunately, it's just the world we live in with football. That 9 times out of 10, it always comes back on the manager for whatever reason. They are the head of the team. But I think for me, it's becoming more evident in terms of the lack of defensive stability, because then they've lost the likes of McBurney and Lundstrom. Because then, previously they've been at a point where they've gone and outscored teams, and it's probably not been looked at in great depth because it doesn't matter, because when you're winning games, no one really looks at it. Now that the goals are obviously drying up at the other end, there's been the issue there. But I actually did the game in the week against Ipswich, and it was poor, to be honest, for both sides, especially in the first half. But I think the difference was in the second half, the pressure that Ipswich were able to exert because of the players that they could bring on the pitch, and the defence for, was it 6s and 7s, to be honest. And I know we love to see Ryan Giles and the likes of Louis Coyle getting up and adding to the attack, but sometimes you've got to pick your moments, and I think for me it's sometimes they're doing that too frequently and in the wrong moments of the game, and some of that is individual error and some of that is the way they're being coached as well. So I think there's a fine line. Yeah, no, there is, absolutely. But one thing I would say is I do think that it's refreshing to hear a manager be so honest and say, look, I'm prepared to change the players if these mistakes carry on, particularly because Hull are under that transfer embargo. Yeah, exactly, and that's what we want, isn't it, in terms of that refreshing lack of media train, whether it be players or manager, and being honest. So yes, it's certainly nice to hear that. And it's like I say, I think it goes to a lack of options at the moment for many a reason for Stoke, not just obviously in terms of everything outwardly, but in terms of now what we're seeing. We spoke about it earlier with Stoke's depth on their bench. There's certainly a lack of depth for Hull at the moment. Well, I mean, it's ironic for us to say it, but I think long live managers that don't do media training, because I think it makes for much better listening, and I think fans appreciate that. Joe, I mean, we're talking about some of the negatives defensively for Hull, and I know that Ollie McBurney's not there to go and score some goals for them, but they have been boosted by the return of John Lundstrom. He's on the bench, and then Matt Crooks returns from suspension, who I think is just a proper championship game changer when he's at his very best.
Yeah, it's a shame about McBurney, of course, isn't it? First of all, 7 goals and 11 appearances so far this season. He's really impressed since coming back to the Championship after his spell in Spain. But as you say, John Lundstrom, I think, has been excellent. I think most Hull City fans feel he's been excellent since joining the club on loan. A lot of experience at this level. And if you look at Hull going forward, Max, that's one big positive so far this season. They only scored 44 league goals in the whole of last season. Wow. They've already got 28 this, so they're well on the way. I mean, they'll break that record very quickly. Yeah, absolutely, and I hope so. I mean, Courtney, we're talking about a Hull City side that, despite having one of the worst defensive records, could climb into the playoffs today. But look, it's not easy for them. They've got Stoke, and then they've got Borough next. So we could be talking about them being in playoffs, but then we could be talking about them sort of dropping points rapidly, and then all of a sudden they're getting dragged into potentially a relegation fight. Yeah, and it's not been an easy run, those 2 games you mentioned. Obviously the one previously, I know Ipswich aren't doing what we probably all expected, but still got beaten by a very good team, so it's going to be difficult. But I'm just looking at the table now. It's absolutely incredible. Wow. And like you say, a couple of wins or a couple of points and you're right back up, whether it be in the playoffs or you're looking at Stoke in second with 30 points, and then Millwall on 28. You've got a couple of teams on 27 points, 26, 25. It is so tight. So you're right, the complexion of a couple of wins or a couple of losses completely changes. But there's also, I think, that thing where you don't just look at the position you're in. So as it stands for Hull City 11th at the moment, it's all about perspective, because if they put a couple of wins together, and depending on what everyone else does, they could leap 4 points, 4 places, they could lose 4. So it's about the perspective for them at the moment, and everyone else in that middle ground, because it's so tight. And we always say that with the Championship, but this season it's just taking it to another level. Yeah, you're right to point that out. I mean, if Hull have won at QPR 2 games ago, they'd have gone 3rd, and so it is such fine lines in the Championship. I mean, for both sides, they've got a 3-game week ahead of them. How difficult is it to maintain
that level of intensity in a league which has so many fixtures?
Yeah, near impossible, and that's where then you see the managers have that issue of, I want to probably keep a consistent team, because that's how I personally think that teams play the best. But then you've obviously got to think about the physical outputs, the times that you make in the substitutes, because this 5 substitute rule is tried to obviously help the players and the physical nature of that. But actually, I think it's prolonged the intensity in the game sometimes. So it's all that issue that the managers have to think about and have got going through the mind. But the fact of the matter is, you can't keep that intensity over the 3 games. Something has to give somewhere, and you're hoping that, for example, I don't think it will happen today, but Stoke City will think, right, if we can get a game where we're 2-0 up after 30 minutes and not coast through the game, but then we can sort of change the tempo and manage the game, that is a perfect scenario going into the next one. But that's in an ideal world and doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't happen very often, and that's what makes the Championship, the EFL, absolutely blockbuster. Remember, we're bringing you Coventry, Charlton from 2:30, but the teams at the Bet365 are making their way out. So time now to head over to our commentary team of Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Joe Shannon.
Thank you, Max. Good afternoon, everyone. It's fair to say these two sides have surprised plenty with their starts to this season. 17 games in, and after years of Championship struggle, Stoke finally looks set for a proper run at Premier League promotion. And how Mark Robins has turned things around, but then given his record, maybe we shouldn't be surprised at all. While Hull were up there with the relegation favourites early in the season, but now they're unlikely playoff challengers perhaps. Lots at stake this lunchtime, not least of all Stoke City looking to close the gap on leaders Coventry to 7 points. Mark Robins' former club live with us on Talksport 2 a little bit later on at home to Charlton. Stoke, it's Johansson in goal, Chamadou, Lawal, Phillips and Cresswell, Pearson and Seko, Manhoff, Bajan-Ho and Thomas behind Bojanic up front. And for Hull City, Pandora is the goalkeeper, Coyle, Ajayi, Egan and Giles, Giabi and Slater, Crooks, Gelhardt and Destan behind Ndala up front. The crowd have slowly but surely filtered in the last few minutes. It was looking pretty sparse a short while ago, but a good noisy crowd here at the Bet365, and Stoke City in particular, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, a club very much on the up, it feels like.
Yeah, and they should be and will be very confident coming into this game and been scoring plenty of goals. But actually, something that we've not mentioned is the best defensive record in the Championship. They've only conceded 12 goals, so that is a match made in heaven, isn't it? You're scoring goals, you're not conceding many. They're so difficult to break down, and it's going to be a real tough job for an understrength Hull City today.
Well, both teams go into a huddle ahead of kick-off here in the Championship. Coventry Charlton on Talksport 2, live and exclusive with us at 3 o'clock. You cannot hear or watch that, indeed, anywhere else. And at 8 o'clock tonight, Tottenham against Fulham in the Premier League is on at Talksport. Well, we're ready to get underway under cloudy skies at the Bet365 this lunchtime. Not as chilly as you'd often expect the Potteries to be at this stage of the season, which we're greatly relieved about. But most importantly, Hull will kick us off from right to left in the first half towards the Bootham end. Hull City in the black shirts with amber pinstripes, black shorts and black socks, and the game is off and underway. Ivor Pandor, the Hull goalkeeper, belts the ball long. Bosun Lawal is there to head it away. Initially for Stoke, it's dropped to young Joel and Ndala. For Hull, given away by Regan Slater to the Stoke right back junior Chamadou on this near side there right. Stoke in their familiar colours, red and white striped shirts, white shorts, white socks, and Stoke playing from left to right. And indeed there are Stoke fans at both ends of the stadium. The Hull City supporters are in one corner over on the far side of the field. Stoke, who can close the gap, as we've been saying, on Coventry to 7 points if they win. Hull City would go fourth with a victory here at the Bet365. Offside against Sorba Thomas in the very early stages, and Hull have a free kick on the left corner of their own penalty area. It is quite still here, not much wind in the air at all, and a vital importance for Hull City today. In particular, Courtney, you feel a good start. If they go behind early on, it could be 3 defeats from 3.
Yeah, it could well be, and I think, on Tuesday I watched that game between themselves and Ipswich, and it was a slow start from both sides, lacking quality in the first half, and I did feel sorry actually for Joseph, because I don't think he got any service whatsoever, so they're hoping that can change and they can give Crooks a lot better service today.
Out to the left is Sorba Thomas, and a good sliding challenge by the Hull City captain Louis Coyle, who's now made 200 appearances for the club, and he was saying in the build up to this game that he can't wait until he gets to 500. Stoke 0, Hull 0. Bae Jun Ho wins the ball back for Stoke City, and a good early ball by Pearson out to the right hand side. Million Manhoff driving into the penalty area towards the dead ball line. Good defending by the very experienced John Egan coming across, and he helps shepherd the ball behind and away for a goal kick.
Yeah, he does really well there, Egan. He doesn't panic, he doesn't lunge into a challenge that he doesn't need to. He just takes a moment and then almost lets Manhoff run off the pitch, but uses his body knowing that he can't get past him. It's really intelligent.
Million Manhoff, who scored in the midweek win over Charlton Athletic. And we were saying before the game, if you're just joining us now, Mark Robbins said of Stoke's recent matches, losing 2 to Coventry here by a goal to 0 and away at Leicester, and then a 3-0 win here on Tuesday night. He said the 3-0 win was the worst performance of the 3. So he is always keeping standards high, and I can see him now, the Stoke City manager, just in front of the dugout to the right of the halfway line. We're near enough, smack on halfway here in the West Stand, very back row on Talksport 2. Hull 0, Stoke 0, but a lively start and good noise in the stands as well for an early kickoff.
He's always quite calm, isn't he, Robbins? I think that's when I always watch him. He's calm, he's composed. He gets his information across to his players in a way that it's not always ranting and raving. And don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for that to be really animated. But a lot of the time, I always found as a player, for managers like that all the time, you just almost switch it off. You don't hear what they've got to say. So I think it's certainly, especially in this day and age as well, a different way to communicate with players.
Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, does he, Mark Robbins? Here is Lawal to Phillips. 2 big centre halves at the back for Stoke City today. Lawal, the left-sided centre-half, and he'll play it out to the captain for the day, Aaron Cresswell. High ball over the top, up the inside left channel. Robert Bojanic, who is always a willing runner, is going to chase this. He was offside anyway, and goalkeeper Pandor came out to shepherd the ball behind for what would have been a goal kick. What do you make of Robert Bojanic getting the nod up front today, still looking for his first goal in English football, Courtney?
Yeah, maybe that is a reason for it in terms of Mark Robbins trying to give him a little bit of confidence. But, you know, as we've mentioned, it's a 3-game week, it's a long season. He's obviously seen enough in training, Mark Robbins, to start him, and it might just be a case of trying to rotate players as well, making sure that everyone's fit for this game week, because it's really difficult physically to try and keep the level of physicality needed to get all through those games.
So 0-0 here, 4.5 minutes gone. How about this at the King Power? Leicester 0, Sheffield United 2 already. Tom Cannon and Callum O'Hare. What a run Sheffield United suddenly seem to be on. But what a desperate run of form it is for Leicester City and for Martí Cifuentes, who you feel is under increasing pressure in the east of the Midlands. So 2-0 to Sheffield United. Goalless here at the Bet365. And the floodlights are on. The clouds are heavy above as Chamadou looks for Manhoff right edge of the penalty area, and Giles did enough coming across from left back just to shrug aside Manhoff, who then got nothing behind the cross, and it's easily gathered by Pandor.
Yeah, again, intelligent defending. It's Giles this time, but Manhoff obviously is such an issue. He's got pace. It's just, I think his second touch lets him down. He doesn't quite get across Giles well enough, and that means that Giles can nudge him off the ball. And the ball in from Manhoff just wasn't good enough, didn't have the elective power it needed on it.
Well, Mark Robbins knows Ryan Giles well. He played under Robbins on loan at Coventry City. Now a permanent Hull City player, having joined from Luton over a year ago. Chamadou to take the throw for Stoke. Right back position, near side of the field as we look at it. Level with our commentary position in front of the Stoke dugout. Back he goes to Bosun Lawal. And now goalkeeper Johansson, all in bright blue. And Courtney and I were saying before the game that he is perhaps the best that the Championship has to offer. We'll talk more about him in a moment as Stoke look for Thomas, but it's cleared upfield by Coyle. Bounces back down to Lawal, and he will play it back to Johansson once again.
Yeah, and you're right. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship. Just seems to bring that level of consistency, can command an area, makes some fantastic saves, and also, as all goalkeepers need to be in this day and age, good with his feet as well.
Stoke's Player of the Year last season. Stoke City 0, Hull City 0. Stoke starting this lunchtime 10 points behind the leaders Coventry in second. Bae Jun-ho is tripped by Shemi Ajayi right on the front edge of the centre circle inside the Hull half, and Ajayi very quickly, he's an experienced player, trundles away, but I don't think the referee's forgotten about that. In fairness, it's the first bad challenge that we've seen, and it was clumsy more than anything.
Yeah, and you're right, I don't think the referee will forget. Certainly, I mean, it could be a yellow because he steps on his foot. I think it's accidental more than anything, but it's certainly now he's got to tread carefully, Ajayi, and I think the next challenge he makes, it will be a caution.
Worth remembering, of course, that Hull City are still under a transfer fee embargo for another window, as Chamadou chips the ball into the penalty area for Stoke, and there was a foul at the back post by Thomas on Coyle, and it'll be a free kick to Hull City on the edge of their own penalty area. Uneventful so far in terms of chances at goal. Stoke 0, Hull 0. 7.5 minutes gone. And remember, Leicester behind at home to Sheffield United 2-0. Chris Wilder's team lead after back-to-back 3-0 victories. Pandor, the Hull goalkeeper, a little uncertain under pressure, and Ajayi looks for Coyle, and out of play it goes for a Stoke throw, and they turn some of the Hull players to look to their goalkeeper as if to say, you should have gone long.
Well, it's hard, isn't it? Because I agree with that one, but how much does the manager want them to play out from the back? How risky does he want them to be? And I think that's the question sometimes that we don't really know.
Manhoff, right corner of the penalty area, tries to roll the ball into the box left-footed. It's cleared away by Egan, and out to play for another Stoke throw right in front of the dugout on the near side. And Stoke maybe beginning to make some headway in the game, certainly in terms of territory. And you can probably see that Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, that Stoke are the team who are in form, and Hull are the team who've lost back-to-back matches, I think. Yeah,
you can tell the confidence. Obviously, it always helps being the home side as well. I think it always gives you that little bit of extra impetus. And as soon as Stoke, get the ball in a promising position, you can hear the crowd. And now it's different. There's more of an expectation in the crowd when they do go forward because of the wonderful things they've seen this season.
Stoke, who have won 4 of their last 6 in the Championship. Out on the left is Cresswell, bright orange boots on, looks for Sorba Thomas, back to Cresswell, just shy of halfway, and he's lost the ball, and here come Hull City on the counter with Gelhardt leading the charge up the middle, plays it through to Crooks. Crooks could be in here. Phillips lunges in and gets something on the ball, just to poke it back to Johansson. If he hadn't done, it would have been a penalty. Yeah,
well, Crooks still isn't sure, but I think this is an absolutely brilliant challenge. Does extremely well, Phillips, to make it. Dives into the side, but then he almost flicks his foot round to retrieve the ball. And as you say, if he doesn't get the ball, it's a stonewall penalty, but brilliant defending in the end.
Crooks, the big front man, 6'4", is the man who started up the middle for Hull City today. And it looked as though he'd won the race, but for a last-ditch intervention from the Tottenham loanee Ashley Phillips, and that is the clearest opening we've seen in the first 10 minutes, and there was a decision to be made for Lee Doughty, the referee, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was, but I think he makes the right one. It's actually initially, he goes down, Phillips, and then at the last minute he just manages to flick his right boot out to get contact with the ball, flicks it round, and then is able to come away with it. It's a brilliant challenge.
Stoke look up the inside right for Manhoff again. He sprints to try and keep it in play, but has to check his momentum, otherwise he's going to end up over the advertising hoarding. It's bounced behind, and it's a goal kick to Hull City, away to the right-hand side. Goalless on Talksport 2, your home of the EFL, and next midweek on Talksport, Talksport 2 in the app, we've got exclusive national radio commentary of all 10 Premier League fixtures. Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. We've also got Hull City's next match live on Talksport 2. That's at home to Middlesbrough next Friday night. Header by Giabi downfield for Hull City, and then he flicks the ball down the middle up to Crooks, but he can't get to it. Lawal in the way to play it back to the goalkeeper, and Johansson hammers the ball high upfield. Clouds are getting murkier and murkier overhead. It looks like we might be about to have some rain in a moment. And then a slice clearance by Chamadou. Crooks coming back from an offside position, but he was able to play it because it came off the Stoke man. Then Johansson thumps it clear, headed back into the Stoke half by Coyle. A very scrappy passage of play, but Stoke could come away with possession, and Thomas, the number 7, is running at Coyle down the left-hand side. Here comes Ajayi helping him out, and Ajayi does well. Saw that his teammate was in a bit of trouble there, Courtney, and managed to sweep it away. Yeah, he does well just to be that covering defender, but brilliant work from Sorba Thomas, and I think it's quite deceiving the pace he's got. Bejan Ho to Bojanik, and the pullback is hit first time left-footed. Nothing really behind it from Robert Bojanik, the Slovakian, and it's straight at Ivor Pandor, but that is the first effort on target, 0-0. Yeah, it's really difficult though for Bojanik because it's a little bit behind him, so he has to take 2 steps to his left, wraps his left foot round it, but because of just the way that the ball's come backwards, he's got no power in it. But just give him a little bit of confidence, an early sighter to try and test Pandor. Goalkeeper who was excellent last season right behind it. He might be worked again here. Bojanik running the channel inside left, trying to turn away from John Egan. He held it up really well there. Plays it back to Thomas from 25 yards with a curling effort that's tipped away. A much more difficult save for Pandor, who's gone down in the penalty area. He was actually caught by Milian Manhoff, I think. It's a terrific save to deny Sorba Thomas. Yeah, it really is, because this one's hit with some venom. Sorba Thomas, you know, as soon as he starts to cut in like that, we talk about his ability on the ball. It's wonderful. It's got pace on it. It's curling. Maybe that just helps Pandor because he's just curling almost back into him, but still, it's an excellent save with his top hand to tip it over. I think Manhoff was almost trying to head that, possibly. He ended up colliding with the goalkeeper. It's a corner. Pandor is okay. Hull have had to bring everybody in the dark away shirts back behind the ball. Corner whipped in by Aaron Cresswell, looping into the near post and punched away by the goalkeeper. Well, that really fizzed at Pandor at the very last moment. A lot of whip and bend on that corner from Cresswell, who has now won a throw level with the edge of the 18-yard box, but suddenly Stoke City are having the better of it, and they look the better side. Yeah, they are, and actually Bejan Ho as well does extremely well here, because he's the one tasked with being on the goalkeeper, but he makes sure he doesn't foul him, because how many times you see players there get too close to the goalkeeper, referee then blows the whistle straight away, but he does well to try and block the sight without fouling the keeper. High reverse ball in by Manhoff, and here comes Pandor, and his handling is very good. He collects it high above his head. Rare that you would look at both goalkeepers and say both won their respective clubs' Player of the Year award last season, but that was the case. Pandor just as important to Hull as Johansson is to Stoke, as Phillips at the other end of the field away to our left knocks the ball first time right-footed into touch, and Hull City get a throw as the rain starts to fall here at the Bet 365. It is still goalless with around a quarter of an hour having been played. Pandor had to be so alert to tip away that drive from Thomas. His clearance is way overhit. That'll bounce through to Johansson again. And Mark Robbins, though, will be pleased, I'm sure, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, with his team's early intent. Yeah, he should be the happier of the two managers, although you maybe argue that Hull City have had the best chance. It's a brilliant challenge in the end from Phillips, but that probably looked like the best opening aside from that shot from the left-hand side of the box from Sorba Thomas. So Stoke City, they'll want to put more of this pressure on and make sure that translates in shots on goal. Bejan Ho, middle of the whole half, central position, square ball out to Chamadou. Further wide is Manhoff for Stoke. Their number 42 plays the reverse ball towards the underlapping run of Chamadou. Good defending by Ndala, tracking back, but he's carried it out of play. You could probably tell that by the ironic cheer. It is a second Stoke City corner. You know what as well, Chamadou, he does something that's really clever. He just gives a little bit of a nudge in the back to Ndala, not enough to give away a foul, but just to make sure he runs it out of play for the corner, because it looked for a moment Ndala was going to be able to turn and play that out for a throw-in. Still Leicester 0, Sheffield United 2, Pompey 0, Bristol City 0 is the latest score at Fratton Park. Cresswell is going to take this corner again, and there are two players standing on the goalkeeper's toes almost. I think it's Seko and Bae Jun-ho this time. Cresswell will deliver left-footed, and this is very much an in-swinger. The 6-yard box is packed with players. Almost everybody on the field is standing in the 6-yard area at the moment. So pressure expected on the Hull City goalkeeper Pandor. This corner is at the end away to our right-hand side. Here it comes from Cresswell, one arm up into the air, left-footed delivery, high to the back post, good header away by Ajayi, hit on the volley by Thomas! Oh my goodness! What a strike! Sorba Thomas with one of the goals of the Championship season so far. He nearly burst the net. Thunderous right-footed volley. Stoke 1, Hull 0. What a goal!
Well, the noise here, Joe, tells you absolutely everything about this goal. It is obscene. The technique on it, strikes it so well with so much power. It's always going to be difficult for Pandor as well because it's in the second phase of the corner and he's coming through so many bodies. But take nothing away from this. No goalkeeper is getting anywhere near it. Watches it as it comes down. Eyes fix Sorba Thomas on the ball, strikes through it. It's like poetry in motion. And I say it nestles in the back of the net. It doesn't. It about breaks the back of the net.
Well, it's such an explosive strike, and the goalkeeper had no chance. 1-0 to Stoke City. And most importantly, maybe, they're closing the gap on Coventry to 7 points as it stands. The leaders play Charlton at 3 o'clock, live on Talksport 2. But a goal rich in quality to open the scoring. And for Sorba Thomas, a man that we talked about before the game, vindication of the talent that he's got.
Yeah, and it's wonderful technique. The way that you watch him, his eyes are so fixed on the ball. His back legs come back on the right leg, comes back on the strike, and then it's just perfect the way that he hits it right on the top of his boot, the follow through, the strike, and you see where his foot ends is exactly where the ball then flies into the back of the net. It's just perfect.
So Stoke score with a blistering opening goal. And the ball is on the halfway line with Thomas again. He's gone cross-field, left to right. Manhoff chests it down. Near side of the field, taking on Ryan Giles. He's got Chamadou on the overlap. Manhoff curls it left-footed. That's blocked. And Thomas will let it trickle behind for a corner. And Stoke City really on form in the first 19 minutes. And Hull have got to be careful that they're not blown away here early on.
Yeah, they've got to make sure that this game doesn't get away from them. You know, you concede another one now. It's definitely not game over, but in terms of the mountain to climb is massive, in the form and the confidence that you can see in this Stoke City team. I don't think they'll come back from it.
Portsmouth 0, Bristol City 1. And Anis Mehmeti has got that goal for high-flying Bristol City. Corner here for Stoke, whipped in by Thomas, right-footed, headed away at the near post, chopped down towards Manhoff, and he was sizing up a volley on his left foot there, but he was beaten to it. Now it's come back to Pearson. Pearson chips the ball on the diagonal, cross-field, right to left, and Thomas is offside as his cross deflects off 3 heads in the end, but it will be a free kick to Hull City in their own half, away to the right-hand side. They're showing the goal on the big screen again, and oohs and ahs from the supporters. That fizzing strike by Thomas, it really nearly did break the back of the net. I don't know if the goalkeeper got fingertips to it, but his palms will certainly be stung and his pride will be stung. Pandor, having conceded that, I mean, it's got to be up there for the Championship goal of the season, Courtney. Yeah,
it's excellent. And Pandor, he tries, keepers work on their reactions, every day in training, and he's trying to get his hands up. It might even take a little bit of a nick off one of the fingertips, but the ball's just coming at him that sweetly and that quickly. He just can't get anywhere near it. And the more you see the goal, the better it gets.
A moment of pure brilliance from Sorba Thomas. Stoke City 1, Hull City 0. We've had nearly 21 minutes and Stoke have got a free kick 10 yards shy of the halfway line, forward by Cresswell to Bae Jun-ho, and he's been shrugged aside by Ajayi. The ball has bounced off the South Korean and got out of play for a Hull City throw. away in their right back position on the far side of the field. It's back from Coyle to Ajayi again. Long ball from Ajayi, headed away by Phillips, and Crooks has barely had any service so far at all up front for Hull. Aside from that early opportunity when it was still 0-0, and Phillips on the ball now made a brilliant tackle. But it's all Stoke City at the moment, no question about that.
Yeah, it is, especially, I know that obviously goal comes from the corner on the left-hand side, it's a second phase, but Manoff in particular has been brilliant down the right-hand side. It's, you know, Giles and Egan are struggling to deal with him, and there'll be a moment where he gets free and he'll be able to play someone in the box.
Oh, good turn by Manhoff, and he plays the reverse pass up the middle towards the onrushing Bozanic, and the goalkeeper thought it was going to trickle into his penalty area. In the end, had to kick it clear there, Pandor, and Hull look really vulnerable, don't they? It has the sense, the feel of a game, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, where if Stoke score a second here midway through the first half, it could be a very long afternoon for Hull.
Yeah, you just don't see if there's a second goal how they come back, and you know, following a similar pattern to Tuesday night for me in terms of Hull City. You know, you're looking at Crooks up there, and he's getting barely any service. He's done quite well with the couple of things that he has had to deal with, but yeah, they're struggling, Hull City.
Bozanic thought he'd won it back fairly off Ajayi. There was a late whistle really there from Lee Doughty, the referee. You can absolutely see why. Robert Bozanic is the man who is preferred by Mark Robbins up front at the moment because his work rate is tremendous.
Yeah, and it's not foul, Joe. It's not. I think the referee, you know, doesn't want to not blow the whistle because it probably ends up in a goal, but Ajayi just goes down far too easily. But it's always the way. If that's it the other way round, the defender always gets the benefit of the doubt. But if Ajayi does that to Bozanic, the referee doesn't give the foul. It's as simple as that.
Ball is on the halfway line, headed by Crooks backwards into his own half, and Manhoff causing a problem for Egan, who slips. Play goes on. Bae Jun-ho, 3 against 4. Bae Jun-ho from the edge of the D, twisting and turning and shooting. What a good save! Pandor away to his right-hand side. Weaving footwork from Bae Jun-ho. Stoke look too good for Hull at the moment. What a save by Pandor!
I mean, the save's brilliant, but the run as well from Bae Jun-ho. He twists Regan Slater inside out. He chops it, first from right onto his left, back from left to right, takes the shot off. He's nestling in that bottom left-hand corner in the side netting, if not for Pandor there. Brilliant save.
That is a magnificent stop. I'd go as far as saying that's one of the best championship saves of the season, because it's struck so low and so hard from Bae Jun-ho, who deserved a goal, really. 1-0 to Stoke, who are playing some excellent football. Corner drifted in high by Cresswell towards Lawal at the back post. Lawal at the second attempt from a very tight angle, and in the way is Destan. Well, simply, Hull City are clinging on in this game at the moment at 1-0 down. Yeah,
and it just only feels like a matter of time now until Stoke get that second goal. We're only 25 minutes into the game, but aside from that Crooks chance, it's been everything Stoke City.
Well, the referee's delayed the taking of the corner. There's a Hull player who's tying his laces, I think, in the box. That's why the corner hasn't quite come yet. He's going to have a word with goalkeeper Pandor, the overworked Hull City goalkeeper. Hull 1-0 down to Stoke on Talksport 2. Coventry against Charlton to come at 3 o'clock a little bit later on. Corner on this near side for Stoke again, and Cresswell is going to take it. In swinging here, left-footed into the near post, punched away by Pandor. It'll drop out to Manhoff. The Hull goalkeeper has been their best player so far, and he's going to have to make another save. It's gone in, but the flag is up, so it won't count against Bozanic. A near post header that the goalkeeper got hands to, but it ended up in the back of the net, though he was in an offside position. Still just 1-0 to Stoke.
Well, straight away, the assistant has the flag up and he's got it spot on. Just goes that little bit too early. Bozanic, really good header though. Difficult angle, and he manages to nestle it in that near post, but the assistant gets that one spot on.
Yes, good decision from the assistant referee with the checkered flag on the near side. Hull City lose possession again. This time Giles is dispossessed, and now Bae Jun-ho back to goal, right corner of the area, taking on Ajayi, and he's done enough Ajayi to force Bae Jun-ho to dribble the ball out of play, and it's a Hull City throw on this near side in their left back position. More than 25 minutes have been played at the Bet365, and Stoke re-establishing their automatic promotion credentials once again, looking for 2 home wins in the space of just a few days, and Sergei Yakirovic is pacing up and down animatedly in his technical area. He must be desperately concerned by what he's seeing, but this is more of the same from Hull City defensively, Courtney, I think.
Yeah, more of the same. There's a lack of threat going forward as well, and I'm not saying that against the forward players. It's more, for my opinion, a lack of service. So what they do, Hull City, you see, we've mentioned it, they play it out from the back, and then they get to a moment where they play themselves into trouble, so then just play it long. There's no one up there. They need to learn how to sort of miss the first phase of the press, and maybe can they drop it into midfield or one of the wide fullbacks first and build from there. But this build-up for me isn't working.
Giles with the cross towards Crooks, diving header away by Lawal for Stoke. It'll bounce down to Destin, who's knocked it wide to Giles again, the number 3, near side the left, plays it backwards now. Egan about 10 yards into the Stoke half, and now Ajayi to the right-hand side. Coyle is there. Coyle forced to go back to Ajayi. A dominant Stoke City performance so far, but here is Gelhardt wriggling his way towards the edge of the box, and he wins a free kick. Right of centre towards the right-hand corner of the penalty area. Good feet from Gelhardt, nippy, tricky feet, and he was taken out in the end by Pearson. Ben Pearson, who is always a tenacious sort of player. And is this free kick within shooting range? I think it probably is.
Yeah, it's in shooting range. The only problem is it's quite wide, nearly sort of on the edge of the box, so it might be one of those that's better to be floated to the back post area, especially when you've got the aerial threat of Crooks in the side at the moment.
Well, standing over it are Gelhardt and Regan Slater, who we barely mentioned in the game so far. Such has been Hull City's lack of control in the midfield. Stockport 0, Barnsley 1 in the battle of 2 playoff chasers in League One, and Hull chasing the playoffs in the Championship. Gelhardt's free kick hits the top of the wall and is deflected behind for a corner at the Boothen end away to our left.
It's really interesting as well the way Johansson there went out to, I think it was Pearson, comes off Pearson's head and just congratulates him, and that's where you're seeing as well, we mentioned the defensive capability of this Stoke City side and the value that they're putting on keeping a clean sheet.
Yes, plenty of value on those for Stoke, who are yet to concede from a set piece in the Championship this season, it is worth saying. Gelhardt's gone across to take the corner. He takes it short, and the delivery from Slater is a good one, but it's a thunderous header away by Phillips. Unmarked or free header from the middle of his own 6-yard box. Ajayi nods it back in for Hull, and it's gathered by Johansson. Stoke City 1, Hull City 0. Half an hour gone. The ball is collected upfield by Thomas. He majestically plucked it out of the air, and now he plays it up the inside right to Manhoff. Right corner of the penalty area. There's always a threat going forward here for Stoke in the game. Manhoff one-on-one with Giles, and he slips in. Thomas from the angle right across the 6-yard box. And Bojanik didn't make the run, neither did Bae Jun-ho. And in the end, it's harmlessly out of play for a throw to Hull on the opposite side.
Yeah, and there's no one there because this happens on the counter-attack, because actually on the left-hand side is probably where Sorba Thomas would have been, but because of the way it breaks, he just drives it across the 6-yard box. It's a wonderful ball. And Bojanik, I think he wants the cutback, but for me, Sorba Thomas, it's the right idea. It's just a case that someone needs to be on the end of it 3 yards out.
Ian Everts, Blackpool behind in League One. Reading are in front at Bloomfield Road by a 1-0. 2 strugglers in League One, but Blackpool still in the relegation zone. Blackpool 0, Reading 1. Lawal for Stoke here, nudges it back to the goalkeeper Johansson in the short sleeves. Not had a save to make in the first half an hour, Victor Johansson. And it's his diagonal ball to the left, and Cresswell, first time pass to Thomas, who is all over everything that Stoke are doing in the game. Header out to play by Egan for Hull. And Stoke are making experienced Championship defenders like Egan and Ajayi run a bit ragged here at the moment, as the cross well, it thought it was going to come in from Cresswell. He's played it back to Thomas instead. Thomas urged to shoot, drills in a low ball into the near post, and it nearly fell for Manhoff somehow through a crowd of bodies, and then it's smuggled behind for a corner by Giles.
Yeah, and it's an awkward one, and then Seiko was in and around as well, and if it drops to him, there's no one there at the back post area. I think Manhoff, he doesn't really know where the ball is initially. He tries to flick it, and it comes back off Giles, and he puts his hand up an apology, but he just kicked it out of the corner, but there's nothing else he can do. He just panicked.
Well, panic and chaos-stricken Hull City defending so far. The Stoke's goal came from a corner, though very much in unexpected fashion, as Cresswell delivers to the back post. It's headed away before Lawal could get there, and out of play for a Stoke throw right in front of Mark Robbins on this near side of the field. Pearson back to Johansson. I think there'll be some in the crowd who are still really coming to terms with the skill and the quality of the opener from Sorba Thomas, the goal that has Stoke in the lead. Manhoff dribbling up down the inside right. He's going to play it backwards here to Chamadou. First time looping right-footed cross. Thomas and Bojanik climbing at the back post, headed it down into the ground, and it spat up off the wet turf and was gathered by Pandor, who volleys the ball upfield straight away. Joe Gelhardt will do well to get that. Johansson is out to beat him to it, and a clever chip from the goalkeeper above Gelhardt to Cresswell. The confidence is quite something in this Stoke City team, Courtney.
Yeah, and complete opposite from Pandor. I understand that he's trying to play the ball into a teammate, but the long ball, they lose it straight away, and they're spending so much time without the ball, Hull City, to then give it away so quickly. It's very frustrating.
Accrington 1, Oldham 0, and Leicester 0, Sheffield United 3. Sidi Peck with the latest goal, and then a back pass that is a poor one from Ajayi. Pandor had to race out and beat Bae Jun Ho to it. And then Johansson, the ultimate sweeper keeper, midway inside his own half as he half volleys it clear. The ball bounces down on the halfway line. So 3-0 to Sheffield United away at Leicester. Seko to Thomas, and now Bojanik 35 yards out, right of centre, nudges it wide to Manhoff. Manhoff on the near side of the field. He's all left foot here, onto the left foot with a low shot to the near post, and it's gathered by Pandor again. Well, surely Stoke are going to get another goal sooner rather than later. Down goes Bojanik, and he might need the physios on here. But Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, former Sheffield United women's striker, is it only a matter of time before goal number 2?
It seems to be, and Bojanik, I think, is upset because he went down earlier in the play, managed to get himself back up, so he's obviously feeling something, and he'll be frustrated because obviously he wants to be on the pitch, he wants to get that first goal in the Championship. That's going to be important for him. I think it's something to do with his head, but yeah, you see here Manhoff does extremely well, cuts in, hits it, and it just dips actually just before it's into the grasp of Pandor, and we know that those ones, when they skip up off the turf, can cause the goalkeepers a problem. But I mean, there's nothing Pandor can really do today. He's beaten by an exquisite piece of skill. Aside from that, he's made a really good save, and yeah, it's just that he's on a side that aren't performing very well.
Well, they're just showing the goal on the big screen yet again, and I think deservedly so, because it's worth watching again and again and again. And in terms of the Championship table, as both sets of players come across to the near side touchline, Stoke played 18, 33 points, so 7 behind Coventry, who take on Charlton Athletic later here on Talksport 2. At 8 o'clock in the Premier League over on Talksport, we will be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for Spurs against Fulham, and tomorrow lunchtime on Talksport, midday kickoff for Crystal Palace against Manchester United. As with all of that, and with the live Premier League football, all 10 matches next week on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, the best way to be across it all is to download our free app, and that way you can swipe between all the games that you want to listen to at your leisure. You can watch live shows on the app as well. Bojanik walks off. Now, is he going to be able to carry on here, Courtney? It looks like they are going to try and keep him on, because there's nobody ready to go in a Stoke red and white shirt, so maybe Bojanik can run off whatever this injury is. 1-0 to Stoke against Hull. 9 minutes of the first half plus added time to go. And yet again, they've just shown us another angle of the Thomas goal, this time from behind him as he thundered that volley into the corner, the top corner beyond Ivor Pandor. And it's the pace of the shot, I think, more than anything that has beaten the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's high into the net as well. It's not quite right in that top left-hand corner, but you're right in terms of the pace that's on it. There's no way that the goalkeeper can save it and keep it out of the net.
Solihull 1, Wilston 0 in the National League this lunchtime. Here is Manhoff again for Stoke, raiding away unchallenged down the right. He slips in, Bojanic, deflected effort. It'll bounce down and Ndala will pick up loose possession for Hull. He's then fouled, Giabi, by the retreating Bojanic. And it'll be a free kick to Hull City on the edge of the penalty area. You almost feel watching Robert Bojanic that he deserves a goal for his work rate alone.
Yeah, his work rate's been excellent. And, I mean, that being said, you'll expect nothing else from a Mark Robins team. It's an expectation to be in the side, but makes that little run down the side of Egan, gets the shot off. It's blocked well by Ajayi, but he's certainly doing everything he can to try and get that goal.
Header on by Destan down the inside right for Stoke, but the ball doesn't bounce through in time to reach Joe Gelhardt, and Johansson will belt the ball clear. High upfield, the Stoke City goalkeeper still. A light rain here at the Bet365 and gloomy looking clouds overhead. Heavy touch by Thomas, it bounced off his knee. Matt Crooks will scamper forward down the right. Thomas slides in, makes a half tackle, then Lawal stands up well to the challenge of Crooks to win it back. Given away by Thomas once more, but he's been fouled in doing so by Gelhardt, and there were one or two words between Crooks and Thomas. There's not a lot in that. The referee is going to call the two of them over, though, I think, just to make sure that there are no afters here, Courtney.
Yeah, and it's just a difference because the camera we've got here in the press box, and it's panning to both players you mentioned there, and Sorba Thomas sort of jogs off laughing, and Crooks has got a face like thunder, and it just shows you the difference obviously in the two when you're the team that's winning and how you take it in different situations. But it's just a little foul by Crooks. There's nothing in that.
MK Dons chasing automatic promotion this season in League 2. They lead Fleetwood by 1-0. Here is Giles raining down the near side the left, but he's dispossessed by Manhoff. Manhoff's got boundless energy, it would seem, and a great ball high over the halfway line to Thomas. Back to goal, and he lays it out to Bae Jun Ho. 2 against 2 for a moment there, but Egan steps across in front of Bae Jun Ho, the big experienced former Burnley and Sheffield United defender. And Hull City have it back, trailing as they do by 1-0. Just over 6 minutes of normal time remain in the first half. We'll be at the CBS Arena from 2:30 for Coventry against Charlton. Coventry, the league leaders, and Charlton, who've suffered an alarming slump in the last couple of matches. A throw taken by Giles up the left-hand side to Ndala, who's on a season-long loan from Manchester City, but he can't combine with Destan. There didn't look to be much chemistry between the two there. It's headed away by Phillips into touch for a Hull City throw, and Hull have created almost nothing whatsoever in the first 40 minutes.
No, aside from the opportunity for Crooks, where, well, it was sort of a non-starter, wasn't it, because of Phillips' great challenge to win the ball back. Aside from that, it's been very quiet for Johansson.
Giles with a low cross and turned over the top by Lawal with Crooks in close attention. That'll be a corner for Hull City. Back-to-back defeats coming into this game for the first time since late August, and their away form is cause for real concern. Only 3 sides have picked up fewer points on the road, 8 points on the road this season for Hull City. Corner on the near side of the field for them. Plenty forward in the dark shirts. It's whipped in high by Regan Slater. It seemed to be overhit to the back post, but in the end, Phillips did have to get above Giabi. And it'll be another corner, this time from the opposite side of the Boothen end, the far side. And a left-footed in-swinger coming up from Joe Gelhardt. Stoke have been dominant, albeit their lead is only 1-0. A slender lead. Gelhardt to take again. Black shirts with amber pinstripes today for Hull City. Here it comes from Gelhardt, hoisted towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Egan went up, didn't make contact with it, I don't think. It's hooked away by Manhoff. Now Thomas and Slater go head-to-head. Slater wins the battle, pushes it forward 10 yards to Gelhardt, who pings the ball up towards the near post, hit the first man, Pearson. Now it drops down to Gelhardt again, right of centre, about 40 yards out. Gets the return pass from Destin and knocks it wide left out to the near side. Giles is there for Hull City. Good spell for them. Decent ball in, and the flicked header is straight at the goalkeeper. It was Egan who had stayed forward, but now Stoke City are on the attack. Johansson tried a quick throw out, overthrown towards Thomas, and back from Coyle to goalkeeper Pandor. That was about as good as it's got, I think, from Hull City in the first half.
Yeah, it is, but you're right, Joe, in what you said. It's a slender lead, and although Hull City have shown little to nothing in terms of the final third, if only takes a mistake for him to get back in it.
And Stoke have won it back, high up the pitch now, but Bojanic's layoff to the right isn't good enough. It's cleared away by Giabi, who you might remember was on loan at Plymouth last season as they had that famous FA Cup win over Liverpool, but they were relegated in the same season. Stoke City throw, level with the edge of the 18-yard box, and Junior Chamadou has come forward to take it. 1-0 to Stoke, in second in the Championship. Hull knowing today that if they were to turn the game around, they'd go fourth. Doesn't seem likely at the moment. Chamadou, was he fouled by Giles? Yes. Free kick in the right-wing position. Very dangerous area, this.
Yeah, and it's an obvious one right in front of the assistant and the referee. Chamadou, he does well. He just sort of drops the shoulder and he fakes Giles, and then he's going to go round on the outside and get across him from the byline, and Giles just has to pull him back. He's got no choice to do anything else.
Wealdstone get an equaliser away at Solihull Moors in the National League. It is 1-1 in that 12:30 kickoff. 3-0 to Sheffield United away at Leicester, and Bristol City lead at Pompey by a goal to nil through Anis Mehmeti, who scores against Portsmouth for the 4th time in his career. So the two standing over it here for Stoke are Thomas and Manhoff, and it's seemingly best set up here for the left foot. But Thomas has only moved away about 5 yards. Now he's standing over the ball himself. So they're keeping Hull City guessing here. Hull have brought everybody back to defend it. Virtually everyone forward for Stoke. In by Manhoff. Flicked on and behind. That'll be a corner. Well, I thought it should have been a corner. Certainly seemed to hit either Slater or Destin. Bojanic went near post, but I'm sure the last touch was off a Hull City player.
Yeah, it looked to be Regan Slater to me on the front post as Bojanic comes across him, comes off his head. The referee's got that one wrong on that occasion.
Has refereed the game very well actually so far, in fairness to Lee Doughty, but it should be a corner to Stoke. Nonetheless, Mark Robbins, I'm sure, although he is a man who sets very high standards, will be pleased with what he's seen from his team, and but for the brilliance of Pandor, it could be more than 1-0.
Yeah, and I think that's the only thing that will slightly frustrate him. The performance has been there, a wonderful goal. They've put, obviously, Hull City under bags of pressure. I think they just want a little bit more to show for it right now, Stoke.
Rain getting a little heavier here in the Potteries. Crooks on the halfway line, nudges the ball wide right. Gelhardt can't keep it in play. Hull have surely got to change things around. With about 30-40 seconds of normal time remaining in the first half, the issue that Hull City have got is that they have got very little in those attacking areas in terms of a number 9 who can come on and make an impact, because Ollie McBurney's still out injured, Courtney.
Yeah, and Joseph played there in the week, and maybe that might be an option just to change it round. But again, it's to do with the service as well for me. The service into the forward line has to be better.
Well, the ball has been kicked away, and it's ended up a loose ball in the back of the Hull City net, but it's certainly not 2-0. Fourth official down below us. How much added time will there be in the first half? 3 added minutes here at the Bet365. Stoke City 1, Hull City 0 here on Talksport 2. The ball is hooked over his shoulder by Cresswell, straight out of play. Some of the Stoke fans around us here in the upper deck of the main stand head for the concourse areas. They're in the padded seats, the supporters around us, so all VIPs. Throw to Hull, away on the far side, the right, just over the halfway line. Coyle is waiting to take it, but he won't be able to do so just yet. The referee has spotted something that he wants to clear up. It's taking some time here. And Coyle's still waiting to take the throw, nearly a minute through the 3 added. I think the Stoke fans feel he should have gone much further back than where the throw was taken from. In the end, Lawal has done well to shepherd it out of play, and he was fouled anyway from behind by Destan, and that'll be a free kick to Stoke, which Johansson will certainly come across and take his time with. It's so hard to tell, isn't it, whether Stoke City look Premier League primed at this stage, and we all know how difficult the step up is, but what's clear in terms of the next few games, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, is that a win today is really important, because it's Sheffield United away next, and they are resurgent, and then a trip to Ipswich.
Yeah, exactly. You know, 2 tough sides there, and obviously, as you mentioned, Sheffield United haven't been in the best of form this season, but are starting to get back to winning ways if it continues like that at the King Power, and Ipswich as well. Probably not at the level maybe we expected, but against were at the start of the day sitting 5th at the table, so no mugs.
Hull have the ball with Coyle on the halfway line, and a short throw forward to Gelhardt, who's given it straight to Bojanic. Bojanic, the Stoke number 11, trying to dart up the middle. He's played the ball wide to the right. Here is Manhoff on the right corner of the penalty area. Infield onto that left foot, and a dink to the far post, which is overhit, and it's going to go behind for a goal kick. He's all left foot, Miljan Manhoff. Always looks to shuffle inside, but it's certainly easier said than done, I think, when it comes to trying to track his runs.
Yeah, exactly. You know what he's going to do, but being able to stop it is a different kettle of fish entirely, and it's the right idea actually, and both Bosnick and Sorba Thomas applauded the effort, because it was the right idea, just the wrong execution, just needed less on the ball, just dinked into sort of the 6-yard box, and Stoke City will have been, you know, in front of goal with a really good opportunity.
About 30 seconds of added time to go in the first half here, and lots of empty seats reappearing at the Bet365 as supporters head off to the concourses. Portsmouth 0, Bristol City 1 is a half-time score. Max will give you all the half-times in full once we're done here. But Hull City were nearly through there. Brilliant interception by Cresswell after the pass by Destan. He had 3 runners ahead of him. It seemed to, maybe it just hit Cresswell more than anything. And now the ball is out of play for a Stoke throw. And Stoke City have got Lawal down, and he was down as Hull looked to counter, but the referee has blown the half-time whistle anyway. And what a moment of quality that separates the two sides. For the umpteenth time now, it's being shown on the big screens of the Bet365, but why not? A goal of sumptuous quality from Sorba Thomas, a wonderful volley after a corner was headed into his path inside the penalty area, and he almost burst the net. Such was the venom in the strike. A really brilliant finish and a brilliant goal for Stoke, who as it stands are closing the gap on Coventry, the league leaders, to 7 points. Goalkeeper Ivor Pandor has made 2 brilliant saves in the Hull City goal to deny Thomas when it was still 0-0, and then Bae Jun Ho. Hull have offered virtually nothing going forward. Stoke 1, Hull 0 at half-time.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, it's business as usual for Stoke. They're closing that gap on Coventry, who, of course, will bring you live comms of that later on in the 3 o'clock as they take on Charlton. But I tell you what isn't business as usual, Courtney. That goal from Sorba Thomas, you described it as obscene. It was unbelievable and has to be up there for goal of the season so far as it stands. Yeah,
there's no doubt that the technique on it, the way that he watches the ball come down, the little shuffle of his feet that you see to get himself in position, and then he just hits it perfectly. And even after the ball's left his foot, you see the way his body moves, the extension of his leg, and obviously that sort of then projects where the ball is going to land. And Pandor has been good today, but there was absolutely no chance of him saving that because of the venom and the ferocity that the shot that he hit with. He was never going to be able to save it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And also just watching him, he's a man that's full of confidence. You can see the joy that he's playing with, can't you? And it's just great to see.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and I mentioned it, I think in game in terms of what Mark Robbins has said about him lately, the fact that he wants him to be more of a leader within the side, and he's seen it more from him, but wants that to continue. And you're right, I think you're seeing that in him, the confidence, the leadership capability, the way that he's quite happy to take the pressure on his shoulders and run with it. And every time Stoke City have the ball. If it's not him on it, he wants to be on it. He's conducting the play. He's shouting, saying that he wants it. His head's always scanning, so he's definitely such a focal point of this side at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think conductor's the right word there. But also, I know Hull haven't showed much going forward. Matt Crooks has gone through, apart from a brilliant sort of goal-saving tackle, you could say. But a word on Ivor Pandor, that the Hull keeper, he's been busy, but he has, and I think Joe said this, maybe savoured the season in the second half. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. I think that the one down to his right-hand side was the save that Joe was talking about. It's excellent because it's coming through bodies as well. He has to get down quickly. It struck ever so well, and he certainly kept this Hull City side in it so far. And I think the only positive for them is the fact that it's only one goal. And it only takes, a moment of brilliance for them or a mistake at the back from Stoke City, and Hull are right back in it. And I think that's the thing that probably Mark Robbins will be reinforcing at half-time. Will be in the second half. You need to get that second goal. You need to keep pushing. But I think there will more than likely be changes for Hull City because there has to be. Yeah, you'd think so, but don't go anywhere because you just do not know what is going to happen in the EFL. Courtney, I'll let you go and enjoy Bovril or a warm drink with Joe. You're listening to EFL Game Day on Talksport 2. Next up, we'll cross over to our commentary team for our second exclusive commentary today as Charlton face the daunting task of taking on Frank Lampard's Coventry.
Talksport 2 is your dynamic destination for all the latest sporting action, featuring live commentary of all the biggest events, including football, PGA golf, horse racing, Premiership rugby, cricket, boxing, and all the big-hitting drama of the NFL. Touchdown! Plus, Talksport 2's official betting partner, William Hill, is always on hand with the insight and in-depth analysis you need. Talksport 2 with official betting partner, William Hill. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Amazon Black Friday week deals up to 40% off. Get the perfect gift for your father-in-law, the Deal Hunter. If only he knew about the deal you got on his gift, he would embrace you, just like he does deals. Oh, I guess we're hugging now. Well, that's a long hug. Oh, it's still going. Oh, it's a Black Friday week hug. It's a deal hug. Up to 40% off this Amazon Black Friday week. Ends 1st of December.
Switching to Vodafone full fibre broadband is now as easy as pie. Oh, freshly baked. It's a walk in the park. Hello, little fella. It's like taking candy from a baby. Come on, as if I'd do that. With One Touch Switch, it's easy. We sort everything out for you. We even contact your current provider. Plus, we'll help towards leaving fees. Switch today to full fibre broadband with Vodafone.
Up to £200 credit to cover leaving fees. More information and terms at vodafone.co.uk/broadband.
At Wix, we can help you get the job done. Get what you need, picked and ready in as little as 15 minutes with Click and Collect. And right now, save on timber, doors, flooring and more in the big event. Shop the big event, in-store or online. Terms apply.
From Sputnik to Brexit results, Lincoln and Booth to Kennedy's motorcade, there are Fridays that have changed the world forever. The Times and Sunday Times have reported on them all. This Black Friday, you can go deeper into the stories as they unfold for just £1 for 4 months with a digital subscription. Visit thetimes.com/Black Friday to claim your offer. 18+ new customers only. Offer ends 5 p.m. December the 3rd. T's and C's apply.
Same.
Ho, ho, ho!
Same.
3, 2, 1, pay!
Same.
Oh, thanks.
Same.
What does Santa call his dog?
Same. Same.
One word. 3 syllables.
Same. Same.
Sorry, it's a bit dry.
New plates.
Ooh.
Treat your table to something different this Christmas. Visit your local IKEA now. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
This Christmas, race into Team Sport indoor karting or grab gift vouchers for festive adrenaline-packed fun. Visit team-sport.co.uk.
Ah, Benny's parents, thanks for coming.
Hiya.
So, Benny has really blossomed this term.
You're telling me? He outgrew his bike. We sold it on eBay.
Oh, that's not quite what I meant.
It's free to sell on there.
Free to sell?
Easy too. Sold Benny's bike, your guitar, my jacket.
You sold my guitar?
Shall we talk about Benny?
When it's this easy to sell for free, you can't help but say when it's eBay. Things people love. T's and C's apply. Excludes vehicles.
It's a full speed ahead week of Premier League football on the Talksport network. Tuesday night from 7:30. Fulham face Man City on Talksport 2. While Bournemouth battle it out with Everton on the Talksport app. And Newcastle take on Spurs from 8:15 on Talksport. Top flight Tuesday night football on the Talksport network.
Hard-hitting football coverage.
He hits it first time, what a volley, what a goal!
Pushing the apex of live football.
And it's in!
EFL Live on Talksport 2.
Haji Wright is onside down the left-hand side of the area. He rolls it across, and Brandon Thomas Asante settles it right at the end for Coventry City.
And then Sakamoto. 3-0 Coventry City, and Sakamoto from the edge of the penalty area.
It's going to be Gillespie who hits it brilliantly, and Charlton Athletic score a wonderful goal from Macaulay Gillespie, curling that ball around the wall and into the near post area, and 40,000 Charlton fans are delirious with celebration.
Good afternoon, you're listening to EFL Game Day Live here on Talksport, where at half-time it's Stoke City 1, Hull City 0, an absolute worldie of a goal from Sorba Thomas. Once you get out the car or finish what you're doing, get on your socials and have a bit of that. An absolute stunner. We'll be back for full second half commentary shortly, but following this game, we're off to the league leaders as Coventry host Charlton at 3 p.m. It's another belter on Game Day Live, and delighted to say the former Arsenal winger Perry Groves will be alongside Ian Dante. They both join us now. How are we doing, chaps?
Good, thank you, Max.
Happy days. I mean, look, Super Frankie Lampard. That's all I can say. For my money, champions elect. How impressive have they been this season?
They've picked up from what they were doing towards the end of last season, and despite the disappointment in the playoffs, they've just... The continuity of performances from the end of last season into the beginning of this has been noticeable. Frank Lampard hasn't gone berserk in the transfer market and thrown out the quality players that he knew he'd inherited a year ago yesterday, and just very clever, judicious work in the transfer market to bring in players like Matt Grimes, who offer something a little bit different to what was in the squad. And it's borne fruit, and there's goals coming from everywhere, although two of those high goal getters may not be around, either of them today, and Haji Wright and Brandon Thomas Asante. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, look, Perry, I mean, 5 homes win in a row, unbeaten at the CBS. You know, hearing Dan there talk about sort of, you know, they haven't gone mad in the transfer window, and I think that makes it even more impressive, doesn't it, that Frank Lampard has managed to build on the already fantastic work that Mark Robbins had done.
Well, I think what it is, he obviously trusted this group of players, and I think Frank Lampard has obviously done his managerial apprenticeship, you know, at different clubs, from Derby, obviously Chelsea, to Everton, then back to Chelsea, which he should have done, because Chelsea were a complete... I was going to swear then, but I won't, because we're on air, aren't we?
Basket case.
Yeah, exactly, that was what I was looking for. So now, he knew full well this was a pressure job for Frank Lampard, because this basically was going to be his last sort of opportunity maybe at this level. And the thing that he said he's learned is, after defeats, when he was a younger manager, he would sort of panic a little bit and think, right, what have I got to do? I've got to change everything completely. And then that transmits uncertainty to the players. What he said is he's learned even after the Wrexham game where they get beat 3-2, he said he's a lot calmer now, and he didn't change a lot. He just said to the lads, you know, individually you've made a few mistakes, but he kept the same principles and the same philosophy, and then they go and win the next 4 on the trot. And Dan said there, they've got goals coming from all over the place. Ellis Sims is in the form of his career at the moment. He's got 3 goals last 2 games. He only got 2 in his previous 25. So Frank Lampard is actually getting better performances out of individual players, and I think he's, especially in the forward areas, there's no better person to talk to apart from finishing, from Frank Lampard.
Well, I'll tell you what as well, Max, he's become a bit of a horse whisperer to players like Jack Rodoni and Victor Torp, who play in his position.
Yeah.
And Lampard understands that role on the pitch better than any other. And I think both Rodoni and Torp have benefited hugely from Lampard's coaching.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have anyone better, really, could you? That is an absolute blessing for them. But let's switch to Charlton, because as for them, they head into this game off the back of some really heavy defeats against Southampton and Stoke. And this is just the worst possible sort of next fixture for them, right?
It's a reality check, though, for coming back to this level. And at the same time, Max, they're still only 4 points off the top 6 in the heavily congested mid-table. And I think Charlton, generally speaking, have acquitted themselves pretty well coming back into the Championship. And Perry and I were up at Bramall Lane for the away win they got at Sheffield United. And they were just dogged and determined that day, weren't they, Perry?
Yeah,
just stuck in there.
Very much so. They defended really well. They had the 5-3-2. James Bree had a really good game that day, and we was talking about Reece Burke, and he was outstanding in the back three that day as well. At the minute, they've got more leaks than a Welsh allotment, haven't they? Because they're just like conceding goals all over the place. If you look at it, they've conceded 9 in the last 3 games. And
you've been dying to say that
and
one.
Kaminsky, who I think is a decent goalkeeper, he worked particularly good against Stoke, obviously midweek. He's like Dracula when he's like allergic to crosses. So
it's another one.
So he's got to take responsibility, but because of the 2 crosses from Sorba Thomas, I think the second one you could say, was a goalkeeping error. But that's because no one's actually going to close the ball down. And what Dan said there, when we saw them at Sheffield United, they were determined. They were winning their 50-50s. They were stopping crosses. They were staying with runners. That hasn't happened. So I think you're going to see a defensive performance from Charlton today. They're definitely. I think they'll go view that. I think
possibly,
they'll go 5
but they've used 7. This is the worry I have, Max, trying to put the 11 together for you. They've used 7 different formations this season. So your guess is as good as mine as to how Nathan Jones is actually going to line these players up. Predominantly 3 at the back, but in front of the 3 could be anything.
Yeah, well, looking forward to that one as ever, particularly some of the puns that we're hearing from Perry.
There's plenty.
We absolutely love it.
He's only scratched the surface, let me tell you.
What are we talking about?
We'll speak to you chaps a little bit later, but we're turning our attention back to the Bet365, where although it's only 1-0, automatic promotion chasers Stoke dominated Hull in the first half.
High to the back post, good header away by Ajayi. Hit on the volley by Thomas. Oh my goodness! What a strike! Sorba Thomas with one of the goals of the Championship season so far. He nearly burst the net. Thunderous right-footed volley. The Hull goalkeeper has been their best player so far, and he's going to have to make another save. It's gone in, but the flag is up. So it won't count against Bojanik.
Just goes that little bit too early. Bojanik, really good header though.
Stoke 1, Hull 0.
First half for Stoke there, that unbelievable Sorba Thomas goal. I think I'm going to be talking about that, raving about that all weekend. Let's head back to our commentary team. Courtney Sweetman, Kirk, Joe Shannon, Courtney. I mean, we've been raving about Stoke. What on earth can Hull do to turn the tide? Because they've been completely dominated in that first half.
Yeah, they have. It looks like they're going to be making a couple of substitutes, actually, so whether that be a change in formation as well. But for me, it's when they're playing out from the back, it's too passive. They're playing themselves into trouble. They need to be a little bit more direct at times and get bodies round that forward line.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to head back to the Bet365. Joe, talk us through it. Any changes?
Absolutely, Max. Yes, 2 in the end for Hull City. Off go Joel and Dala and Darko Diaby at half-time. Kyle Joseph will come on, and you would think play in the number 9 position. The other player coming onto the field is Mohamed Baloumi, who's had very much an injury-hit time of it since joining the club. So 2 changes for Hull City. Stoke lead by a goal to 0. And for Hull, improvements, obvious improvements, are very much required. It'll be Stoke to get us underway in the second half, and the game restarts. Stoke go back to goalkeeper Johansson, who blasts the ball upfield. Stoke in their red and white striped shirts, white shorts and white socks, and Hull City in the black shirts with amber pinstripes, black shorts and black socks, playing from left to right. So Stoke attacking the Boothen end, the traditional home end here at the Bet365 in the second half. Sorba Thomas with that wonderful volleyed goal has given them the lead, but Hull trying to get on the attack early in the second half with Slater halfway line. Early ball over the top towards Kyle Joseph. He went down under the challenge of Chamadou, nothing given by the referee. and it's through to Johansson again. So I'll recap the two teams for you, with Stoke leading by 1-0. Johansson is the goalkeeper. Chamadou, Lawal, Phillips and Cresswell, Pearson and Seko, Manhoff, Bajan-Ho and Thomas behind Bojanic. And for Hull City, Pandor is the goalkeeper. Same back four of Coyle, Ajayi, Egan and Giles. Slater in the holding midfield role, sitting deepest, seemingly with Crooks and Gelhardt in front of him. Bellumi in the right wing position. Out on the left is Destan, and Joseph perhaps through the middle, or indeed, in fact, it's Destan through the middle and Joseph away to the left-hand side. Stoke 1, Hull 0, still those grey clouds overhead. And alongside me in the commentary box, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Courtney, how have Hull changed their shape here?
Yeah, well, you see in terms of it, it's more a two up top, which I think it tried to be in the first half, to be honest, but Destan more often than not tried to drop in. And you mentioned Crooks is now dropping into a little bit more into midfield, where I actually like him there, because his timing his arrival and timing into the box, I think, is very good. So just him being able to dictate the play from behind hopefully should help.
Bellumi out on the right-hand side, second season at Hull City, but he barely played for much of the first season. Knocks it back to Coyle with a first-time right-footed cross, reaches Joseph at the back post, and he sets up Giles left-footed, and it's turned behind by Johansson. And 2 minutes into the second half, Hull have their first serious effort on goal, and Johansson makes a good reaction save.
Yeah, because it's struck really well by Giles. Takes it first time, stepping onto it, hit with a lot of power, but it is still one you're expecting Johansson to save, because that's his near post area.
Suddenly it's brightened up a bit in the Potteries. The sun is threatening to come out. Slater's corner into the near post and a header away. Drops on the volley to Gelhardt. Bouncing ball, hits Bellumi, and the header is in. The flag has stayed down. Semi Ajayi has made it 1-1 out of absolutely nothing. A free goal for Hull City. Big deflection of Bellumi in the build-up. He knew nothing about it. And Ajayi there to nod home his first goal for Hull City. Stoke 1, Hull 1.
Well, it's messy, but Hull City won't care. Actually, they've been good at the start of this first half. And you're right, it's the second phase initially. It's headed out. Gelhardt strikes it. Then comes off Bellumi. And then the question is Ajayi offside or onside? I think it's just on, but it's so difficult even when it's being slowed down. It's so hard to see in real time. Ajayi looks to be in line, but the problem is there's also, I think it's Destan in an offside position, and then the argument will be from the players, is he affecting play and all those sort of things that we speak about. But the fact of the matter is there's no VAR, the goal counts, and now we said about Stoke City, as well as they've played, that one goal, it's always a dangerous scoreline.
And it's 1-1 on Talksport 2. Here comes Stoke straight away. Thomas looked for Manhoff, but he can't control it, and it's out of play for a goal kick. And Stoke have barely had a kick of the ball. 4 minutes into the second half, and Hull have got themselves level already. Well, the changes and the half-time team talk of Sergej Jakirovic has obviously made an impact. And in the context of the table, it means that there would be a 9-point gap between Stoke and Coventry, the leaders, whose game in hand is at 3 o'clock against Charlton Athletic, live here on Talksport 2. So Ajayi's got his first goal for Hull City.
Yeah, we just got some better angles, Joe, on the monitors in front of us, and yeah, he's definitely onside Ajayi. I think it's Chamadou, and it's one of those where it's difficult for defenders because they think the ball's been cleared and he starts to step Chamadou, but the problem is his back foot's still out, but all his weight's going, so he can't react quicker than Ajayi, who's on his front foot ready to just head that one in the back of the net, so the assistant gets that one bang on.
To me, it's a classic case as well, Courtney, of why we actually don't need VAR in the Championship, or indeed, in my view, in the Premier League either, because you can imagine them rerunning it back again and again and again, checking the most minute possibilities of offside, potentially looking at Destan, who was standing, some might argue, in an attacking position, but there was no way he was affecting play. The only question that Hull City have got is that did the ball hit Balloumi's arm instead of his head? I thought it had spun off his head.
I don't think so. It actually
Shoulder?
comes off his chest. It's sort of in that moment between your chest and your shoulder, the T-shirt line. It's definitely not lower than the T-shirt line.
Anyway, who needs VAR? We certainly don't have it, and I don't think we want it in the Championship either. It's 1-1 on Talksport 2, so suddenly game on here. And Stoke City have got to respond because Hull are back level. The ball is in the centre circle, headed forward by Ajayi. Little flick into the path of Crooks by Destan, and he's got support from Joseph Risk into the area now. Outside left, Joseph cuts onto his right foot, and now it's teed up for Crooks. He can't strike it. Slater does! Far deflection. That's going to be a corner. Well, they felt they should have had a free kick there, Stoke. Hull right on the edge of the box, and then Slater struck it firmly. Took a big deflection. In the sunshine now, away to the right-hand side. And Hull City have completely turned this game. It's 1-1 and they look like they can go on and win it.
Yeah, they look great. The way that they've started, they're aggressive, they're on the front foot. They've stopped messing around with it at the back and getting caught out, and they're being a lot more direct. But the thing is, they've got bodies round everyone. So it's not, in the first half, they were going direct into Crooks and he had no help.
Gelhardt's corner, punched away one-handed by Johansson, nodded back in by Crooks, and there was a foul on the goalkeeper. It was headed in by Destan, a looping header, but the referee had already blown for a Stoke free kick, and Johansson takes it quickly. Thunderous ball downfield, trying to release Bozanic up the middle. He's never going to get there. I don't think he's had a touch in the second half, Bozanic. And it's all the way through to Ivor Pandor, all in luminous green, the Hull City goalkeeper, away to our left-hand side. Well, certainly from a neutral's perspective, Courtney, I have to say that it is brilliantly poised now. It is really exciting, these, 38 minutes plus of the second half that we've got.
Yeah, exactly. I think the fact that Hull City have come out and scored earlier then completely changes the complexion of the game. So, not for the Stoke City fans, obviously, but for everyone else watching it, it certainly puts more intrigue into the game. And so far, Stoke City haven't really responded. Hull are looking by far the better team in these early stages.
Won't be long before we bring you team news at the CBS Arena on Talksport 2 for our live commentary of Coventry against Charlton, and Coventry can further stretch their lead at the top as it stands. Destan has gone down for Hull City, so he's being treated now. In good form of late, Enis Destan, 2 goals in his last 3 appearances. He was caught by the arm of Lawal. A flailing hand in the face of Destan. And Leicester have a goal back at the King Power. Leicester 1, Sheffield United 3. Steffi Mavididi has scored early in the second half for Leicester City. We're 8 minutes into the second half here. Stoke City 1, Hull City 1. Thomas with a belting volley to give Stoke the lead in the first half, but an immediate response from Hull City to that double change at the start of the second. And it's a man who was already on the field, Shemi Ajayi, who was there to head home. And still being treated here at the moment, Destan. I wonder your take, Courtney. Was there definitely a foul on the goalkeeper Johansson a few moments ago?
I don't think so. I think it's soft, to be honest, but I will always say that. And obviously, as a former centre forward, I think I've always thought that goalkeepers are a bit of a protected species. But I think in the consistency of the game and now the way the game is refereed, I'm not surprised it's been given as a foul. So I think it's sort of, with everything being even, it's the right decision. But I think they are protected too much, goalkeepers.
Well, up gets Destan after the 2 physios were on for Hull City here. We're high up at the back of the West Stand, a shade to the left of the halfway line, right behind the Hull City head coach, Sergei Yakirovic, who was appointed in the summer, succeeding Ruben Selles, who was sacked after they only avoided relegation to League One on the final day. Likewise, Stoke did so as well. So it's been quite the turnaround for both clubs this season. Stoke have it with Phillips, just shy of the halfway line. Angled ball to his right and Chamadou. I wonder what's behind Stoke's drop-off in this second half, though, Courtney. They've not got going at all.
No, they've not. And I think it's a bit of a sucker punch, to be honest. It's the way that Hull City have played well. They've got the goal, and I think it's just taken Stoke by surprise.
Crossed in from the left here by Cresswell. That's looping, and that's going to go behind. Poor delivery, first time left-footed by his standards, the Stoke City captain. That soars over the crossbar and behind for a goal kick to Hull. So Hull with their 29th league goal of the season having only scored 44 in the whole of the league campaign last year. That was a major factor in their struggles to avoid relegation. Giles for them out on the left, early ball up the middle, and chested away by Lawal. About 2,000 Hull fans have made the trip today, 22,000 or so in the crowd, we're being told. And Stoke will get a free kick midway inside their half, and those really dark, murky clouds look like they've cleared up ahead. No sign of the rain of the first half. It's bright here in Stoke-on-Trent. Good turn by Manhoff, infield from the right to a central position. He's about 35 yards out. He's skewed the pass wide, mishit it, but he was under pressure from Crooks. That's why he did so. Pearson, the number 4, out to Phillips, right edge of the centre circle for Stoke. Phillips again has to retreat to play it square to Lawal. Lawal just inside the centre circle, having jinked away from Gelhardt. He will steer it forward to Pearson. Pearson scampers into the Hull City half, works it wide out to the left, and Thomas. He's taken the ball out of play there, Thomas, no matter how much he pretends that he hasn't. It was obvious from up here, and it was obvious to the assistant referee as well. I thought for a second he wasn't going to put the flag up, but eventually he did.
One thing I've noticed about Hull City as well is they're a lot higher when Stoke City are in possession. Gelhardt and Destan helping Joseph out to try and put an effective press on.
Does make you realise, doesn't it, what we've seen today from Hull City, how much they miss Ollie McBurney and how much greater their chances will be when he is in the side. 7 goals in 11 appearances, but still out injured as the ball is hammered upfield by Pandor, high to the halfway line, jumping is Destan, flicks it up the middle. Lawal is there to roll it back to goalkeeper Johansson, and Johansson with an early ball to the right back area where Chamadou is standing. Chamadou, 20-yard pass, low along the ground. Manhoff is there. Stoke 1, Hull 1 on Talksport 2 as Stoke get a free kick. And let's get team news from our all-important 3 o'clock kickoff. Coventry against Charlton Athletic on Talksport 2. And here's Ian Danter.
Thank you, Joe. Coventry forced into 2 changes this afternoon. Sakamoto has concussion and Thomas Asante is out. Mason Clark and Rudoni come in for Coventry's 2 changes. As for Charlton, 3 changes from their defeat at Stoke, where you are, Joe. Nibbs, Bell and Olafe recalled at the expense of Leeburn, Doherty and Berry. Live straight after you, we're at the CBS Arena for Coventry City against Charlton Athletic.
Thank you, Dance. Really looking forward to that on the journey home. The league leaders, Coventry. Frank Lampard's team take on Charlton today. Here is Manhoff. It's 1-1 Stoke against Hull. Manhoff's deflected cross bounces into the penalty area, headed away by Louis Coyle for Hull. Stoke go back to the lip of the centre circle, and here is Seko. Seko with the red boots on, with a good slide rule pass towards Manhoff, but well intercepted on the slide by Kyle Joseph for Hull City. One back by Phillips on halfway, and now Stoke are starting to see more of the ball, and the crowd are getting livelier at the Bet365, but they've given it away. Bae Jun Ho straight to the feet of Gelhardt. The former Leeds man races up the inside right, nudges it slightly behind Balumi, but then gets the return ball on the dead ball line, and Gelhardt has miscued the cross. He sliced that wide, and it's gone behind for a goal kick, but we've nearly reached the hour mark, and after a great first half, a sloppy start to the second, Stoke City have arrived in the game again, Courtney Sweetman-Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say they were finding their feet again, but as I was about to say it, they gave the ball away. But you're right, they're starting to come back into the game, looking more like the Stoke City that we used to. But this is by no means over Hull City. They look a lot more aggressive, wanting to win the ball high up the pitch. Now, there is an element of them getting caught out. Lual's then is driving out with the ball, and he gets caught. And this is the Stoke City fans, you can hear they're frustrated because he tries to play the quick free kick, and for some unknown reason the referee pulls it back. But Stoke City are getting back into the game now, Joe.
Well, he didn't need to pull it back there, did he, the referee, really? It's a match of 5 yards probably, and Lawal inside his own half pings a high diagonal ball up the middle towards Manhoff. Can he beat the goalkeeper to it? Headed away by Pandor from the edge of his box, Manuel Neuer style. Now it's out to the right, and Bozanic, 1-1, Bozanic's cross. Bae Jun Ho couldn't reach it, diving it at the near post. He went down into the challenge of Ajayi. The Stoke City fans of the Bootham End appeal. No penalty, and the scores stay level here. on Talksport 2.
Yeah, it's not a penalty. I think it was more out of hope than expectation. That the reaction of the players tells you everything on that sense. But you can just hear now the fans back behind the side trying to will their team back into this game.
Chamadou on the right wing, infield to Manhoff, all left foot, edge of the D, little 1-2 with Bozanic, good interception by Ajayi, striding forward, the man who scored the Hull equaliser. One back by Pearson in the centre circle, good tenacity from Stoke to get the ball back in their possession. Seko, number 12, square to Thomas, out to the right-hand side again. Manhoff is there again on the right corner of the penalty area. Now Sorba Thomas tried to play it forward, an awkward ball, bobbled up towards Chamadou and was hacked away by the substitute, the former Blackpool man, Joseph. Now Phillips, the big centre-half for Stoke. And Stoke now seeing much more of the ball, possession and territory too. Manhoff reverse pass. On the underlap is Chamadou. He's about 10 yards from the corner flag. He's whipped the ball in immediately through the legs of Joseph, but cleared away on the volley by John Egan. And still half an hour to go. Plenty of time for either team to win this game. Delivered in by Seko. Bozanic trying to climb. It's skimmed off the top of his head. It'll come back out left. Thomas with a whip cross right-footed! And it just eluded the man flying into the back post, Miljan Manhoff. He wasn't far away, but he couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a mixture. I think Giles does extremely well just to try and get back and put Manhoff off. I also think there's an element of, I'm not sure whether he thinks he's going to get hurt, but he just seems to pull out of the diving header at the last moment, Manhoff.
2 goals in 5 appearances for the Dutchman, including here in the 3-0 victory over Charlton in midweek. And so Stoke 1, Hull 1 it remains, as Lawal concedes a free kick for a clumsy challenge on Destan. Hull City now will wait to send Egan and Ajayi forward. Lots of height in this Hull City team now. Destan, Ajayi, Egan, Crooks. Plenty forward in the black shirts with amber pinstripes, and Stoke are holding a very high defensive line here. A good 7-8 yards from the edge of the penalty area. And the free kick is 10 yards or so into the Stoke half, so there's very little difference between where the free kick's being taken from and where Stoke are trying to hold this high defensive line, a long line of red and white striped shirts. In the end, Hull go out wide to Bellumi with a short pass. Bellumi, the number 10, right corner of the penalty area, infield to Gelhardt, set up to shoot from range, and Johansson let it squirm away from him. Bellumi on the follow-up, blocked by Johansson, spread himself from an impossible angle for Bellumi. He got lucky there, the goalkeeper, because we've seen those sorts of shots squirm off a goalkeeper's elbow and end up in the back of the net.
Yeah, and then White was a difficult one for him. I mean, he probably still should have done better with the save, but it's the fact that it skips up off the turf a couple of yards in front of him and makes it really awkward for Johansson.
Chamadou raiding down the right-hand side is beyond Giles. A low cross turned away. Back to Chamadou. Manhoff calling for it. Seko calling for it. Right corner of the area. Can't make anything of it. Seko trying to regain possession, and he fouls Crooks, and it's a free kick to Hull City. And you can hear the frustration of the Stoke City fans all around us. But it really is an exciting day of Championship football, and this is the battle-hardened nature of the Championship that we know and we love. 1-1 the score, nearly 20 minutes into the second half. Coventry against Charlton to come at 3 o'clock. Tottenham against Fulham on Talksport at 8. Crystal Palace against Manchester United on Talksport midday tomorrow. And then all 10 Premier League matches in the next midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday next week, are all live on the network with us. Make sure you download the app. Sliding in his Crooks, no foul on Seko. Looked like he got the ball, but got plenty of the man as well.
Yeah, and they're frustrated because it was the foul, Crooks v Seko, before that was given against Stoke City, rather, not Coventry. That's later. So that's why the Stoke City fans are frustrated.
I know Mike Robbins is in the dugout, but it's been a while now. Frank Lampard celebrating a year in charge of Coventry. I mean, that has gone quickly, but he laid the foundations, maybe Mark Robbins, and Frank Lampard has helped potentially take Coventry to new heights. And the gap at the moment between Stoke in second and the league leaders is 9 points. Bellumi's away down the right-hand side, but the flag is up against him. I think they're going to make another change here Hull, and maybe there'll be a substitution for Stoke City for the first time in the game as well.
Yeah, it's about that time, isn't it? 65 minutes where both managers are assessing where they are, the changes that they can make, and certainly probably Stoke City more so probably need the change.
I'm wondering, is it Mubama down below? As we'll get a closer look in just a moment. It is Stoke City's number 9, 5-goal divine Mubama. So you'd imagine it'll be Bojanic to come off unless they were going to switch to a 4-4-2 or something like that. Forward by Chamadou, high up the inside right. Manhoff will race after it. Out comes the goalkeeper, gets there Pandor. Sliding across the turf. We had a lot of rain yesterday in the Potteries and in the build-up to the game this morning. Pandor to Ajayi, right corner of his own box. We're heading towards the final quarter, nearly given away by Ajayi. He's lucky that it bounced off Seko and squirmed through to Destin. Now Crooks away on the left in the sunshine. Crooks looks up, he's got Giles herring forward on the overlap. Giles beaten to it by the slide, firm but fair, of Chamadou. And so a Hull City throw to come as Mubama is stripped and ready to come on in the red and white of Stoke. A shake of the hand with Mark Robbins. And it's still very difficult to call this game. A game of certainly few chances in the second half in particular, but Hull have got themselves back level, and deservedly so on the evidence of this second half. Given away by Cresswell for Stoke, but then Pearson capitalises on Gelhardt's miscontrol. No foul on Bojanic on the halfway line. Referee says get up, get on with it. Lee Doughty, the referee, in the blue shirt in the middle. Crooks back to Ajayi. He's a very dependable player in the Championship, Shemi Ajayi, and it was a header that has the scores level here from him. Coyle out on the right with an early cross, high to the back post. Joseph was coming in. It's headed away by Chamadou, who is really flying at that Carl Joseph. Cleared away by Stoke. Loose ball has dropped to Destin. 5 yards from the corner of the penalty area now. Slater's pass, really poor. Angled down the left and way over hit beyond Giles. So here comes Mubama. And is it likely to be Bojanic? No. In fact, it's not the Stoke substitution. It's Hull who are going first. The number 3 was up, and I thought they're going very attacking there, Stoke City. But it's Akin Famewo for Ryan Giles at left back for Hull. And it is the straight swap that we thought, Mubama for Bojanic.
And Bojanic, he's worked hard. It's not quite come off for him. Obviously had the goal that was in the back of the net that was rightly called offside, and there's just, I think as the game's gone on, he's got increasingly frustrated, and there's moments where he's dropped in to try and hold the ball up. He's looking for a foul when it's not been, and I think as the game's gone on, he's become less and less effective.
Well, he's on now, Mubama, having scored a hat-trick here against Bristol City on November the 1st on a season-long loan from Manchester City, the former West Ham trainee. Chamadou for Stoke is going to let the ball bounce out of play. So there's just over 20 minutes of normal time to go. Once we're done here on Talksport 2, we'll be straight over to the CBS Arena for commentary of the league leaders. It's Coventry against Charlton Athletic, who've had 2 heavy defeats on the spin, including here against Stoke City on Tuesday night. Such is the congested nature of the Championship, by the way. There's only 10 points between Pompey, who currently occupy 3rd from bottom, and Ipswich, who are in 6th position. Unbelievable.
It's so tight, and that's the thing, especially when it's a 3-game week as well. If you're on the right end of it, it's fantastic, and if you're on the wrong end, you can drop obviously down the table very quickly.
MK Dons 2, Fleetwood 0 is the latest score. MK Dons into the automatic promotion places in League 2. Stoke wanted to take a free kick quickly, but Lee Doughty wasn't having any of it. It's gone backwards, and they'll have to do it again. Here is Lawal, midway inside his own half of the field. Forward ball, little flick by Bajan Ho, but Mubama can't reach it. It's back by Egan to his goalkeeper. Egan now will control in the right back area, hammer a high ball downfield, headed away by Lawal from just inside the centre circle, and now Mubama stretching his long legs to try and bring it down, but it's hooked away by Egan again, and now here come Hull City, ball knocked through the middle towards Destan, and sweeping it into touch was Phillips coming across from the right-sided centre-half position. Hull take the resulting throw quickly, it's 1-1. We've had 70 minutes, 50-50 Pearson and Gelhardt, and I think the Stoke fans feel they're not getting the 50-50 decisions from the referee. And certainly frustrated by the way Hull City have come out and looked a different team in the second half. You've got to give credit to Sergei Yakirovic's side. Yeah,
and they've looked a lot more aggressive, and maybe, you know, in terms of some of those decisions haven't gone in Stoke's way, but the difference is that Hull City have been up in Stoke's faces. They've made it a lot more difficult for them. I will say I think Ashley Phillips has been absolutely brilliant today, and you just saw him, you know, you mentioned it, Joe, there on the cover, him coming across and him sensing the danger, and I think he's been excellent.
We'll have to continue to do just that here for Stoke City, because it's Hull who look just as likely to score a winner. Bellumi, the number 10, has poked it into the path of Gelhardt. He gives it straight to Bae Jun-ho. Quite congested in the middle of the park at the moment. Manhoff forward towards Mubama, controls in the centre circle, lays it square. Bae Jun-ho didn't really fancy the 50-50 for me against Ajayi, who beat him to it. Bellumi, little chip down the middle. In the way is Pearson. Suddenly it's really scrappy here at the Bet365. 1-1 as Slater slides in. And now it's won back by Stoke again. Out on the left is Thomas, forward to Cresswell. Cresswell with an early cross, left-footed. Mubama, well, it actually hit him on the chest and flew away from danger. Courtney.
Yeah, and look, this is exactly what Hull City have tried to make this game in terms of it's messy, it's scrappy, it's compact, and that's because of the changes that have been made, and it's certainly working in their favour. And you're right, you mentioned about Bae Jun-ho, and there was a 50-50, and you could tell he got hurt because he jumped out of it. He just didn't fancy it, and this is why it's been so difficult for Stoke in this second half.
Well, jumping is Seko, who's beaten to it easily by the much taller Destan, but Pearson is there for Stoke, just behind Destan to win it back, and a lovely ball by Seko, down the right to Chamadou, he's in, Mubama square, Bae Jun-ho, what a tackle! Louis Coyle sliding in, the captain with a timely intervention for Hull. What a challenge, it was 2 against 1, and then suddenly Coyle appeared from nowhere.
The tackle was absolutely brilliant, because if he doesn't make this, it's a goal. The ball, by the way, first and foremost into Chamadou was exceptional, the way it breaks the line, but I think he hesitates when he gets there. He can probably take a touch and shoot, but he doesn't. He takes, 2 or 3 touches, and yeah, it's a good ball back, to be fair. It's just a really good tackle, but I don't know, there's just something in me with Chamadou there that I think he hesitates, and if he drives in and takes a big touch, it probably helps him. But, Stoke City showing their quality still, but the guts and the guile of Hull to keep the ball out of the net is excellent.
They were on their feet, the Stoke fans, expecting a goal, but in the end it stays out. And now at the other end, Hull have a corner. And of course, Coventry fans will be listening to us on Talksport too, hoping that Hull can get a second. That way the gap would be 10 points at the top, and they'd have a game in hand on Stoke. Of course, Middlesbrough still have to play this weekend, and the Borough level on points with Stoke City. They sit third in the table, level on points with Stoke at the start of the day. So 30 points for Middlesbrough, 31 for Stoke as it stands, 40 for Coventry. Corner taken by Slater for Hull, and it's looping to the back post where it's headed away. It'll drop down to Bellumi. Bellumi angling up a left-footed delivery. Ajayi with the header wide. He's such a threat in the air. Edge of the 6-yard box, and I think by his expression and his body language, he feels he should have made more of that.
Yeah, he should have. He just doesn't get the right connection on it. It's slightly difficult in the fact that he's having to come out away from the ball. But the fact is, he gets there and he makes the wrong contact. Instead of getting a full forehead on it, it just slides off the side of his head, and that's why he's frustrated.
Blackpool 0, Reading 2 in League One, and Fleetwood get a goal back at MK Dons, but the Dons still lead by 2-1. MK Dons 2, Fleetwood 1. So the ball is out on the far side, the right. Stoke have a throw, Chamadou, 15 minutes to go, plus added time. If Stoke gets a winner, the gap to Coventry is cut to 7 points. Here is Lawal for Stoke City, nudges it forward about 10 yards to Pearson. Pearson, nutmeg Gelhardt, works it wide to Thomas. Thomas with a crossfield ball, left to right, high to the far side, brought down by Manhoff. Manhoff now darts infield onto the left foot, 25 yards out, reverse pass. Bae Jun-ho, back to Manhoff with the shot, over the top. Really good move from Stoke, but just lacking the finish.
Yeah, Manhoff is leaning backwards, and that's why this one flies over the ball. But initially, great touch in front from him, and then there's the little reverse ball into Bae Jun-ho. And as he gets there, I think he's too bothered about the tackle coming across. I think it might be Giles, and then he starts leaning back over the bar, but it's a really good opportunity.
Is that a bit of a concern for Mark Robins, Courtney? Because that's happened a couple of times in this second half, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and I think, as we mentioned about Mark Robins, the first thing about him is he always says it's about effort, it's about winning your battles, and there's been a couple of moments where some of his players haven't fancied it and he won't like it.
Free kick to Stoke City. There's going to be a yellow card here for Destin. One of the biggest cheers of the game as Destin is booked, and I make that the first yellow card of the match, and I think that's a compliment really to the referee in many ways.
Yeah, it really is. Obviously, look, every referee gets decisions wrong, and has got some wrong today, but in general I think he's performed well and he's tried to keep the game flowing as much as possible.
14 minutes left. There is time for a winner on Talksport 2. There always is in the Championship. Never quite done until it's done. No look pass by Thomas. Bae Jun-ho down the left. Chips in the cross. Header blocked. It was Seko, and then it hit Egan. Some of the Stoke fans in front of us thought it was handball, but I don't think so. I think it's thundered off his chest.
Yeah, I think he's more in hope than expectation, those calls, but just feel now, I mean, the ball's just gone out of play. It's a poor pass from Stoke City, but they're just turning the temperature up a little bit. They're trying to find that second goal, and the better quality in this Stoke City side is starting to show.
Well, the Stoke City supporters getting more and more raucous here in the Potteries. The sun has dipped behind the clouds again. 1-1 the score, and Hull City, you think, especially after back-to-back defeats at QPR, where they were 2-1 up but lost 3-2, and then at home to Ipswich on Tuesday night, they'll be happy if they can leave here with a point. Ajayi with an uncharacteristically poor header away. It's dropped to the number 9 Mubama. Bae Jun-ho out to the left. Cresswell shouts of man on from the crowd. He does well to nudge it backwards to Pearson, and now Lawal forward of the centre circle. Stoke looking more dominant in the game now. Lawal has run into trouble. He's run into Crooks. Can they counter here, Hull? It's on the halfway line with Balumi. Lawal has got back in position. Balumi square to Crooks in the centre circle, and Crooks has slowed the game down in his light blue coloured boots. He's looked out wide to Gelhardt, back to Coyle, forward to Gelhardt again, infield from the right-hand touchline, now back out wide, Balumi. Coyle delivers the first-time cross. Oh, and Destin took it off the boot of Joseph. It actually glanced off his head and away from danger. Joseph was running in to try and hit it on the volley. Then Egan slides in and beats Manhoff to it. Could go either way, really could.
Yeah, I mean, Stoke City probably are marginally looking the better side, but there's no opportunities on the break for Hull City, and uncharacteristic moments where Stoke at the back are giving the ball away.
Quite a chaotic feel to the game now. Away on the left is Thomas. Thomas pulls it back to the edge of the penalty area, cleared away, and now Hull can maybe break again with Gelhardt. Gelhardt midway inside his own half wins the free kick off Pearson, right of centre, and there'll be a double change here now for Hull City, including the return of John Lundstrom from injury. Last played at the start of October, and Amir Hadzimetovic is going to take to the field. He started on Tuesday night, and the changes, off goes Destin. These might be defensive-minded changes now from Jakirovic, because these are two, well, certainly in the case of Hadzimetovic, defensive players. And off goes Destin. On comes Lundstrom. And the other player to leave the field is Slater.
Yeah, just thinking about this second half, and one thing we haven't seen that we saw in abundance in the first half from a Stoke City perspective is Sorba Thomas on the ball, but we've barely mentioned him. He was such an influential figure in the first half, and they've struggled to get him on the ball in this second half, Stoke.
Yes, he's been quite a peripheral figure, hasn't he, Thomas? 1-1, just over 10 minutes left. Trip from Joseph on Lawal and a free kick to Stoke City. It's in their left-back position on the near side. Cresswell's just going to flick it back to Lawal, who will leave it for Victor Johansson to come forward. Johansson places the ball quite precisely. And Stoke set to go long upfield, looking for a 6th win from 9 home games today. Stoke City. It's long by Johansson upfield. They're going to drop points in the race for the title. As it stands, of course, they'll still be in the top 2, but Middlesbrough will have a game in hand just behind them. Hadzimetovic for Hull on the far side, the left. He's played it to Gelhardt, back to halfway. Lundstrom, number 5, with a big crossfield ball out to the right, header away by Cresswell, and Thomas tried to pluck it out of the air, robbed of possession temporarily by Crooks, but Stoke have quickly got it back. Pearson, they're going to have to really be incredibly incisive in the final third here, Stoke, to get through the physicality and tenacity of Hull. And it's won back by Egan off Mubama, midway inside the Stoke half. Here come Hull on the attack. Bellumi tries to nudge it forward, but he's given it straight to Cresswell.
Yeah, and that's been the biggest change from Hull City in this second half. It's almost an effort. It's just the fact that they're closer to the ball. They're winning those duels, the 1v1 battles. And in the first half, we barely saw that.
Manhoff racing from right to left into a central area. And now Thomas on the halfway line, right in between the 2 watching head coaches. Sergei Yakirovich of Hull to the left, and the Stoke boss, Mark Robbins, with his dark jacket on, his hands in his pockets, to the right of the halfway line. Lawal has played it square to Phillips, 1 touch out of his feet. Phillips looks up, plays a 20-yard ball up the middle, easily intercepted on the slide by Lundstrom. Lundstrom, who already looks peerless and calm in the middle of midfield for Hull, and he's actually settled the game down a bit for them as well. The idea being that he'll be able to retain possession. Coyle looked like he'd taken the ball out of play, but assistant adjudged that he'd just about kept it in. Here's Bellumi out on the near side, the right. He's shuffling infield, deflection on the left-footed cross. That's going to go for a corner. It is beyond Lawal, and with 8 minutes to go, can Hull City steal the lead from nowhere? Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Oh, what I noticed in that moment was Cresswell and Sorba Thomas remonstrating with the assistant, and I get it because you feel like you've been hard done by, but they're moaning at the referee as Coyle is then going forward with the ball. There's a time and a place, and you need to concentrate. 2 players out the game because they're too busy moaning at the assistant.
Sheffield United lead at Leicester, Bristol City lead at Portsmouth. It's 1-1 here on Talksport 2. Coventry Charlton to come. Gelhardt is going to have to wait to take the corner. Seko's gone down, defending right in front of his own goalkeeper Johansson here. Referee's gone across to have a word with Seko and Kyle Joseph. As I say, a lot of height in this Hull City team, and Ajayi and Egan you'd have thought would be among the prime targets. Whipped in by Gelhardt to the near post, only half away and lashed over the top. What a chance for Lundstrom. Left-footed on the volley, 6 yards out. He should have marked his return with a goal.
He really should have. It's a wonderful opportunity for him, as you mentioned, only sort of 6 yards out. And it's a weird one because there, I think you strike through that with your laces, but for some reason he's gone for his side foot, which I get sometimes you want to do that for control, but when you're that close and there's so many bodies, just strike through it.
Pearson at the other end for Stoke now then. Out to the right and Manhoff. Are Hull going to rue that missed opportunity? Good challenge by Famewo, the new left back on Manhoff, who then commits a foul. Tackle from behind on Gelhardt, and it's a free kick to Hull. 6 minutes to go here. Similar amount of time left at Leicester, and they've got a second. Another one back against Sheffield United. Leicester 2, Sheffield United 3. Sheffield United, who are Stoke's next opponents. Hull next play Middlesbrough on home soil, and that'll be live on Talksport 2 next Friday night. Your home of the EFL. Away on the left-hand side, Famewo has seen a double deflection, and so it's a Stoke City throw-in the right-back area, and they're going to bring on big Sam Gallagher. Stoke here very shortly, so does that mean a slight shift in shape, maybe?
You would think so. Obviously Obama's already on, so you'd imagine it'll be the 2 up top and those 2 working off each other.
What have they been lacking most in this second half, do you think, Courtney, Stoke?
I think, first of all, a little bit of quality. They were so composed in the first half that the quality hasn't been good enough on the ball. That's probably as well down to Hull City, so give them credit for that. And also, I think they've panicked, especially at the back. They were, when you're thinking of, for example, Lowell, when he's been driving out with the ball in the first half, whereas the moments he's done that in the second half, he's lost it. There's been so many stray passes. So I think it's lacked a calmness and experience at times. There's not enough cool heads on the pitch.
Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, former Liverpool and Sheffield United striker, is with us. Here come the changes for Stoke. Gallagher it is for Manhoff. And Stephen Nzonzi, who is back at the club, in case you missed it. At the end of August, he returned to Stoke City. 36 now, the Frenchman, having played in Stoke's Premier League spell. He will come on for Ben Pearson for the final 5 minutes or so, plus added time. Blackpool 0, Reading 3 is the latest score in League One. And remember, we'll be off to the CBS Arena once we're done here for full commentary of Coventry against Charlton Athletic. Well, as if they couldn't have much more physicality on the bench to bring on, they've just done it. Stoke and Nzonzi and Gallagher certainly add height and physical presence, and maybe they were needed earlier on.
Yeah, I read my mind there, Joe, just looking over at the big scoreboard there, just gone into the 87th minute, and you think that it's been quite obvious that that's where Hull City have dominated Stoke in the second half, so substitutes probably should have been made a lot earlier than they have.
Interception by Lundstrom on halfway, and he cuts the ball square to Crooks. Crooks forward towards Lundstrom, who lets it run. Little dummy to find Bellumi. Bellumi right corner of the penalty area. Lundstrom with his back to goal has laid it backwards to Hadzimetovic. Crooks first time touch towards the edge of the D. It's cleared away. Hull look more likely at the moment, you'd have to say. The ball is going to roll towards the corner flag on the far side. Gelhardt for Hull keeps it in front of the travelling fans and wins a throw. Very close to the corner flag, and there could be danger here for Stoke City with 3 minutes left.
Poor from Chamadou as well. Gelhardt's he's strode past him, sprinted past him to try and get on the ball, and Chamadou, I don't know whether it was a lack of awareness that Gelhardt was there or the way he just jogged out to the ball, and then he was just caught out with the fact that Gelhardt beat him to it.
And Lundstrom for Famewo to chip in across, and that takes a deflection. It's behind for another Hull corner. Stoke now in a position where maybe at half-time they were disappointed that they went 2 or 3 up. Now they're in a position where they've got to make sure they don't lose the game.
Yeah, exactly, and I think Hull City in this second half specifically have looked very, very dangerous from set pieces.
You can see in the distance, in the gap between the stands, that a few Stoke City fans have already headed away. It hasn't really looked like being a game that they've been set to win in the second half, and it could get worse. Corner whipped in high to the near post, header away by Mubama. It'll drop down to Bellumi on the half volley, and Johansson goes down to make a save, and he holds on to the ball as well. It was a long way out, that half volley by Bellumi, and a huge overarm throw by Johansson, but it's a simple header away that for John Egan in the end. Chamadou right back for Stoke. Well, it was ambitious from Bellumi, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it nearly caught Johansson off guard.
Good technique, but ultimately too far away to cause the goalkeeper serious trouble. 90 seconds of normal time to play. Sam Gallagher's first touch sees him win a throw for Stoke midway into the whole half. Down this near side, the left. The floodlights are on here in Staffordshire. There's a few more of the Stoke fans in front of us get up to head for the exits. Bajan Ho back to Seko, forward of the centre circle. Seko has given it away with the angle pass. Straight to Famewo in the left-back area for Hull. Back to Lundstrom, who settles the play down again. Lundstrom just patiently back to goalkeeper Pandor. Can't remember Pandor having a save to make in the second half, actually, after his heroics in the first, to keep it only at 1-0. But if Stoke looked real promotion contenders in the first 45, they haven't really in the second.
No, and as we said, 1 goal, 1-0 lead, it's always precarious.
Coventry can extend the gap further later. Here come Bellumi for Hull, and now Gelhardt is in! Gelhardt has surely won it! Bellumi through the middle, Gelhardt onto it, beyond the goalkeeper. Stoke 1, Hull 2, smash and grab.
Well, Actually, I think on this second half, they deserve it, Joe. Gelhardt has been very, very good for Hull City this season. And in this moment, he is so calm and composed. And it's Chamadou again that gets caught out. I mentioned it earlier, where Gelhardt had got the better of him because Chamadou was basically ambling out, didn't realise that Gelhardt was there. But they lose the ball. Spoke about it earlier in terms of Lual at times being lapsadaisical. It's the ball out that doesn't help, it's slow. They lose it, and then it's easy from there. Chamadou, he tries to dive in to try and stop the ball getting to Gelhardt. He completely misses it. Good touch from Gelhardt on his left foot first and foremost, just to control the ball. Then goes back across the goalkeeper. It's a really composed finish from him under high pressure late in the game. And Stoke City, they will be kicking themselves because they were so good in the first half. But they didn't make their dominance count, and they've made to pay.
Well, what a turnaround into 5 minutes of added time. 2-1 to Hull City. And now Stoke are desperate just to save a point, but it doesn't look likely. They're streaming out of the Bet365, the home supporters. Long it goes towards Nzonzi. It's spun off the head of Lundstrom. That will go out for a Stoke corner.
Thinking about them saves as well that Pandor made in the first half and how important they were in reflection. You don't always know it at the time, but you can certainly see it now.
Corner to Stoke. And Cresswell will take it. It'll be left-footed and in-swinging. Standing in front on the heels of the goalkeeper almost is Ashley Phillips. There are 90 seconds of 5 added minutes that have been played, and still time even for a late Stoke equaliser, but it's Hull who are heading home with the 3 points at the moment. Cresswell is going to deliver here. In swinging, left-footed, up go the heads, cleared away at the near post. Thomas in a foot race to try and beat Balumi. Balumi's heavy touch upfield, and Thomas on the cover goes back to Johansson. Nearly 2 of the 5 added have been played. Joe Gelhardt in the last minute of normal time for Hull. Header away by Ajayi. He looks to have won this game for them, Gelhardt. And the referee has stopped the game because Ajayi's gone down holding his head. A late goal too at Stockport in League One. Stockport 1, Barnsley 1. And Ajayi, there was a clash of heads with Nzonzi, and that was quite a nasty clash actually.
Yeah, it was, and that's why especially all the Hull City players are calling the doctors and the physios over. I think the Stoke City fans think he's wasting time, but it definitely was a big clash of heads there with Nzonzi.
Well, Nzonzi being treated down below us on the field of play. But desperate disappointment for Stoke City, and Coventry against Charlton to come at 3. Coventry with the chance to really ram home their advantage and extend their lead at the top of the championship table. Stoke are going to miss the chance to close the gap, certainly in the meaningful way that they wanted, and it looks as though they won't even get a point. How Sergei Yakirovich has turned this game around.
Yeah, in terms of the substitutions, there's been a little bit of a tweak in the formation, but also I think it's been on the players. I don't know exactly what was said at half-time, but some of it, there's an element from Hull City. You can set a team up, but it wasn't good enough. The effort they were putting in, the fact that they weren't winning their 1v1 battles, they weren't being aggressive enough. And yes, some of that sometimes is to do with the formation and the way that you set up. But yeah, the mixture of the changes and the way that the players have applied themselves in the second half has been magnificent.
Well, Ajayi's going to have to go off here, and they'll be temporarily down to 10 Hull. We've only got, in theory, 1 minute and 20 seconds of added time to go, but there'll be a lot more than that, you would have thought. Added time on added time to come. I make it we've probably got 3 minutes or so still to play here. Stoke City 1, Hull City 2. 2 second half goals for Hull have turned this game around completely. And there's going to be a restart of play. Stoke in possession with Cresswell, middle of the Hull half. Back to Bae Jun Ho, and now Stoke are desperately seeking an equaliser. Ajayi's not allowed on just yet. Reverse ball in, right-footed by Cresswell, headed away. And he still hasn't got the go-ahead, Ajayi. Still watching on from the touchline. Volleyed forward by Thomas towards Nzonzi for Stoke, inside the penalty area. Header away initially by Joseph, and thumped away upfield by Famewo. Sergei Yakirovich is screaming at the referee for Ajayi to be allowed back on, and he has now got the go-ahead. We've nearly had the 5 added minutes. It's 2-1 to Hull. Stoke go long. Gallagher flicks it on. Phillips is up there. Beijing Ho with the shot. There was a high boot, I think, by Gallagher. As we welcome listeners from Talksport. Stoke City 1, Hull City 2. We've nearly had the 5 minutes of added time, though I would think. And the referees had to come across and stop the play as players from both sides go head-to-head. It's getting fractious at the very end. But it looks as though, with the game stopped here, 5 added minutes played, that Hull City have done enough to win this game, send themselves 4th in the Championship, and prevent Stoke from closing the gap on the leaders, Coventry. Courtney Sweetman-Kerr.
Yeah, and look, in the first half, Stoke City were brilliant. A magnificent goal from Sorba Thomas, and you thought, this is the Stoke City that we've seen for most of the season. They're going to really push on in the second half. Should have scored more goals. Pandor made an excellent save to stop it going 2-0, but you thought it'd probably be more of the same in the second half, and it wasn't. And you've got to give credit to Hull City, the manager, the little tweaks in the formation, that the substitutes, and they've looked a lot more aggressive. And actually, on the balance of the second half, probably do deserve to be 2-1 up. And Stoke City, I think that early goal in the first half really put them on the back foot.
Lawal and Crooks have just been booked after that fracas between both sets of players. We are now 6 minutes into added time, and I make it there may be 1 or 2 minutes left for Stoke to try and find an equaliser. Hull City have turned it around. Leicester 2, Sheffield United 3 is a full-time score. Portsmouth 0, Bristol City 1 in the Championship, also full-time. Accrington have beaten Oldham by a goal to 0 in League 2, and Stoke are nearly done here. It doesn't look as though they're going to have time to make it 2-2. Hull in front by 2 goals to 1. The ball is with Lawal. Midway inside his own half for Stoke. It's got to go long. He thunders it long up towards Nzonzi, who climbs. On the back of him was his own player, Gallagher, and that's flicked out of play for a Hull City throw. What a response from Hull to back-to-back defeats coming into today, and what a response to being a goal down at half-time in a game where in theory they could have been out of sight. Pandor, the number 1, has produced heroics. 7 added minutes have now been played. The Bet365 is emptying beneath these grey, cloudy skies. The ball is on halfway for Stoke. It's scooped long on the half volley by Phillips. The away fans are screaming at the referee for the final whistle. So is head coach Yakirovich down below us. But play continues. Phillips with a long ball over the top for Stoke. It's spun off the head of Shemi Ajayi. Now the Hull captain Coyle collects, and he can't stop the ball from flying out of play for a throw. Deep inside the Hull half, this is surely the last chance. Sorba Thomas is shaping to throw it in long.
This is it. The long throw, they're going to try and make chaos, but I think if Hull City can clear this, then they'll walk away today with 3 points.
He hasn't gone forward yet, Johansson. Long throw by Thomas into the penalty area. 2-1 to Hull, as Hull win the first contact and the second, back in by Seko. Headed away again, and Hull City have won it! Celebrations on the field, in the stands, and on the touchline. Sergei Yakirovich's team turned the game on its head, and they get a crucial win, and there are afters at the very end here, as players from both sides go head-to-head. There's a Stoke fan who's tried to run onto the pitch and confront the Hull City players. That is not good to see. He's having to be held back by a security personnel, and it ends in ugly scenes here at the Bet365. Almost everybody in terms of the 22 players on the field involved in that scrap at the very end. Ryan Giles is trying to get the Stoke fans to calm down, and there's an object or two being thrown towards Giles. He's not helping really, I don't think.
It was Lundstrom, Joe, that started it. He was the first one that went over, and I don't know whether he was getting some stick from some of the fans over there, but he started it going over, and it's just escalated very, very quickly.
Well, it's starting to calm down a little bit now, and there will be handshakes at the end of the game, but Hull City have gone up to 5th in the Championship table. There are yellow cards being produced by the referee. Phillips has got one of them, and a ferocious end to this fixture in the Potteries as Stoke missed the chance to close the gap on Coventry, who play Charlton Athletic at 3 o'clock on Talksport 2. The runaway leaders really can extend their lead ever further. Hull City up to 5th and their playoff challenge is very much on. And it's still not over at the end here. Another scrap is going on involving members, I think, possibly of the Hull City coaching staff, possibly members of the bench as well. And now everybody's running back into a melee inside the penalty area to the left-hand side, and they don't like each other, these two. Maybe something's been said, but this scrap between the Stoke City and Hull City players and staff continues here inside the penalty area. They do not shake hands, and these are acrimonious scenes at the end of the game here in the Championship.
Yeah, look, I get it. I've been there as a player. Emotions run high, but it's absolutely ridiculous. There's so many players and staff getting involved, and you know, some are trying to walk away, some are getting involved for more. But I mean, hopefully, it just looks like it's starting to calm down now. But I think it's just unsavoury scenes that we don't need.
Well, the referee is having a long chat with his assistant, and now Victor Johansson, the goalkeeper. The Stoke goalkeeper is getting involved, and he is fuming and having to be held back here. Who's he trying to confront? It looks like he was trying to confront Sergei Yakirovich, the Hull City head coach, and Johansson was furious about something. He's having to be held back by a couple of the Stoke coaching staff. There were a couple of stewards in bright orange jackets getting involved. The crowd in front of us are all on their feet. Nobody's left their seats as the fracas continues to unfold, and there are pockets of disagreement happening all the time. They just can't calm this down. And now finally the Hull City players move away towards the right, towards the away section, where they can take the acclaim of the crowd. Well, I have to say the FA will investigate this and look back on what has happened at the end of this game, Courtney.
Yeah, they'll be looking at that very closely. But this is what the Hull City players and fans should be doing. They've spent so much time scrapping in front of the Stoke fans. Realistically, they should have been in front of their own fans celebrating, which they're doing now. They deserved it in the second half, but just that little bit at the end, it's a bit unsavoury. It's took the shine off it for me.
Well, it has finished on Talksport 2 in the Championship. Stoke stay second, but for how much longer? Hull soar up into fifth. Stoke 1, Hull 2.
Wow. Championship football, you cannot take your eyes off it. You can't write it, you can't predict it. It's absolutely blockbuster. Yes, some unsavoury scenes at the end there, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, but before the game we spoke for Stoke about consistency and standards, and it looked like they were absolutely sailing. But you've got to take your hats off to Hull City, because they've come back and deservedly won that game. Yeah, deservedly so. And as you say, we spoke about what does Stoke need to really, obviously they're up there, but stay up there, and it's consistency, and we've not seen that today. It really was night and day in terms of the first half performance, how good they were, Sorba, Thomas specifically. And then I think I mentioned it in the second half, we barely mentioned his name, and yes, it's to do with the changes of Hull City and what Yakirovich did in game and those players. So I don't want to take away from that at all, because like I say, the away side came out and it was a fabulous performance in that second half. But in terms of, for Stoke City, from their perspective, it was poor. They didn't really get out the traps. I think they were taken back by the early Hull City goal, and they never really recovered from it. And you were talking, Courtney, in commentary about what you perceive as a bit of a lack of fight, perhaps. How Mark Robins might be unhappy with, some of the maybe sort of stepping out of 50-50 challenges when they really needed to put the heat on. Maybe Stoke sort of dropped off it a bit. Yeah, it happened on more than one occasion, and look, it's hard to say in the moment, and I've been there as a player as well, so I don't like to criticise players in terms of effort too much. But for me, it was so blatantly obvious that there were moments where there were players jumping out of challenges, and that can't happen. You've got to go and win your battles and win your 1v1s. And as I say, the fact that that happened on more than one occasion, I felt the fact that I had to mention it, and it was so stark in the contrast in terms of Hull City, the way that they were flying into things, they were fighting, they were making sure they were putting the bodies on the line, and it was such a marked contrast. I mean, Stoke City fans listening will they'll be frustrated at the missing the opportunity to cement themselves in that top two. But do they not have an argument that they might be frustrated with that first goal being allowed? Mohamed Baloumi, there's an argument that he's sort of in the build-up to Semi Ajayi's first goal, that it's come off his arm, his bicep. What did you make of that? Yeah, not for me. I think it comes off his sort of chest and his shoulder.
it's the t-shirt line, which we know now is is a legal goal. So for me, that isn't an argument. Initially, I thought the offside might be an argument, but I've seen the replay back, and Ajayi's definitely onside. And in terms of Stoke City in that second half, they just weren't good enough. And I understand you there as a player, as a fan, you're trying to look for reasons as to why, but they just never really recovered from that first goal.
And look, we were talking before the game, we thought Hull were going to be missing Ollie McBurney, but Joe Gelhardt, right place, right time, 7 goals in 9 games. And now we're talking about Hull, who, off the back of sort of some difficult form recently, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And we can, speak all we want about how the first half was and the players that they're missing and stuff like that. But you've got to find a way. And that's what I liked about Hull City today, because I watched them on Tuesday and they didn't find a way. They didn't get themselves back into the game. They almost sort of wallowed in their own self-pity at times in the second half. Whereas today, the second half, that first minute, they came out the trap so quickly. You could tell they probably had a rocket at half time. And obviously, as the half went on as well, there were a few tweaks and changes and substitutes, and you can tell the players that are itching to get on the pitch. So you can only praise them for that. And as you mentioned, I'm just watching the goal back actually on the monitor. Gelhardt, it was such a wonderful finish, and he always gives 100%. It doesn't matter what's going on, or if he's not necessarily technically playing well. In terms of an effort level, he always works so hard, and he really deserved his goal today.
Fantastic stuff, Courtney. Thank you so much. That's Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, who's been alongside the wonderful Joe Shannon, bringing us the late drama there at the Bet365, including some unsavoury scenes. And as we heard Joe say, it's likely the FA are going to investigate that, because that lasted far too long, but it makes great viewing and great listening. So it's finished 2-1 at the Bet365. Hull beating Stoke. They're now in the playoffs. Elsewhere in the Championship, though, Sheffield United staved off a late Leicester City comeback. They were 3-0 up, but it's finished 3-2 at the King Power. Struggling are the Foxes, of course, with what we expect to be some form of point deduction coming their way because of breaches of PSR rules in the 23-24 season. And then elsewhere, Bristol beating Portsmouth away in the Championship 1-0. They also go into the playoffs. So it's a tight picture. You've got Bristol on 4th on 29 points, Hull City 5th, 28 points, all the way down to 12th, QPR 3 points off the playoffs. So we do expect some changes in the table before the end of play today. Of course, though, the defeat for I've lost my mind. The defeat for Stoke gives Coventry City the opportunity to extend their lead at the top of the table to 13 points. We'll be bringing you live commentary as they welcome Charlton Athletic on game day here on Talksport 2.